I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey. It is now December and it is time for round 2 of the qualifiers, the international qualifiers for the main stage of the Carcassonne Champions League 2025, and we have 3 special matches today. Well, we have 1 special match and 2 normal matches. We start with a special one, Krish coaches of Latvia against the player with the screen name Big Nacho 610 of Argentina. This is part of the 3rd qualification, so this is the qualification for those players who won international tournaments. Let me just show you real quick what that is. So Big Nacho 610 won an online event. Wait, players. Yeah, let's have a look. The King of Carcassonne Cup, which is a turn-based event. Yeah, so you see both Argentinians actually won different King of Carcassonne events, and Krish Gautis won the Mind Sports Olympiad Grand Prix 2024, the finals of which you saw earlier. That was in the spring, and so this is the qualifying for these players. Then we have a Q4 event after that, so this is for the highest rated players on the platform, and KilluminatiWarrior is one of them, and so is his opponent, the Taiwanese player with the screen name PenguinEM. And finally we'll have in 2 hours a match between LordTerrocloth of UK and Pricci of Poland. That will be Q1, so that will be for second and third place finishers of national championships. So anyway, we're starting the game. All matches are going to be best of 3, so Krisna has created a match with Big Nacho. Now, this is not going to be an impartial stream. Obviously, I will be rooting for my teammate, but I hope also that the games will be interesting. But yeah, Krish Couch is always a person to watch. Not only is he one of the best players in the world, I mean, just look at how masterfully he took those 4 points for the city right now, and Big Nacho is responding with just 2 for a road. I mean, you can already see the difference in the skill level right there. But also he has a very unique player style, very aggressive meeple placements. He usually have like 4 or 5 cities, some unfinished projects scattered over the board, and it all ends up working out. So a new city for Krisna, a new city for Big Nacho and his patriotic blue meeples. Krisna continues. His city also starts a 3-point road on the right. Hi Kaika, hi Nepamai, hi Maris, hi Sergey. Yeah, so this is a spontaneous stream. And the reason for that is because I thought I would not have time at this time of day to stream at all, but turns out I do. So the Latvian keeps increasing his lead on the scoreboard as he completes the 3-point road. I mean, in all seriousness, both players are just exchanging natural moves. Well, that's an interesting one, and a wrong one, I would have to say. I mean, so as Big Nacho, surely a better move is going over here, meepling a road, just really delaying Krisna's city over there. But this move, it sort of makes sense to me, right? So it indirectly prolongs this road, and it also eliminates a monastery spot. But then I'm not sure if, like, with being 7 points behind on the scoreboard, you want to spend so much effort on reducing variance. Certainly a creative idea, but the city threat was a bit more urgent to address. Yeah, because like if you take this road, you put it over here, well, your opponent might finish the city anyway, but at the very least you're getting those road points. Alright, but actually Ignacio's still doing fine, and look at this very interesting move here. So he'll probably drop a farmer now. Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't continue this city nor does he continue this city. Instead, he continues the top city with the idea that since it has 2 road ends, well, not road ends, but road pieces quite next to it, it really limits the number of tiles with which red could connect to the city. But it just so happens that Krisna drew one of them and immediately places a meeple over there. So this is exactly what you want to do when you are in the leads. You know, don't try any weird blocking attacks, just normal equalizing moves, minimizing the variance. So this city will now be shared. The Argentinian is finally on the scoreboard with 3 points for the road, starts a new road as well with the idea of finishing this loop road. The downside, of course, is this city over here, which has been restricted for 2 sides. So now Ignacio needs 2 tiles of the same kind in the same places, and I knew that Krishna would make this move, so he doesn't go for the 3-point monastery over here. Instead, he goes for the 2-point monastery, which also happens to control Ignacio's city. And what's going to happen very often, Red's going to go here, build up the monastery, get his 7 points, and both of these squares are going to get blocked, and Blue is going to get trap hit with 2 points. And the reason why this is so likely is because Blue now has a real dilemma. So he could go over here and try this city, but then there's a risk of Krishna blocking the square anyway, or, you know, getting some sort of city cap tile and just connecting to his city. So and if that happens, then this move, this city cap over here, which is such a valuable tile, that would be a bit of a waste. Because I think what Mr. Nacho got to do here, so he goes for it anyway. Like, I can't blame him for that. The move that I probably would play as Blue is just over here and starting a new city, just because this tile is so good. And I would still keep the tension for a little bit longer. Maybe I would wait for a starting tile there, for example, because the starting tile is like not that strong. Yeah, also another strong move for Big Nacho was potentially taking this tile and actually trying to battle for this city and get a majority over here. So I'm not sure if it's actually better, but it certainly, you know, would create some problems for Krishna. Instead, just sort of a normal, well, not normal move necessarily, but just a move that renews the threat of this city. Krishna takes 3 points for the road, leaving an empty city cap, which the Argentinian is quite happily to use for a new city. And now an absolutely fantastic tile for Krishna. A variety of options here. Goes for 2 points and the delaying of this city. The downside is that it sort of kills off this monastery spot, but it could be a good thing for Red. If Red draws a tile here, blocks the square, Red could draw a tile here. Ooh! Thank you for... Yes. Thank you for letting me know, Nalaheim, that I forgot to turn off the drawing function. So I've just been drawing for myself. Yeah, so that's what a spontaneous stream means. Okay, now you should see everything. Yeah, I've been drawing some pink lines. So hopefully it wasn't too annoying to follow. But, well, I know that some of you have a great imagination. Hi, Hernan. Yes, just use your imaginations, exactly. So basically, here's what I was saying. Tile goes over here, tile goes over here, the square is blocked, and then Krishna is absolutely happy to have his monastery blocked together with Ignacio's city. But going back to this move, you see now that Ignacio has managed to successfully continue his road and also expand his field. Potentially, you know, there's like lots of green squares, so this farmer is going to do really well. But this all was preventable, so as Chris, a move to consider was, instead of this, going actually over here, taking 2 points, annoying this road and annoying this city as well. But you know, you can't use the same time in multiple places. Now an interesting situation as Krishna meeples another monastery on the right for 3 points. And as Big Nacho gets a quadruple city tile, he very quickly decides to continue his own city. And this could be quite interesting. This could turn out quite well for Blue, because if nobody puts any tiles around here, Then blue will end up with 1 meeple frozen for 7 points or more if he develops his city like this. But red's just going to have, well, so far red has just 7 points for the monasteries, but more important, 2 meeples invested. So we can see that players exchanged loop roads. Krisna's still ahead 19 points on the scoreboard as a result of the city earlier on and some roads. Yeah, so what Ignacio could do, he could just simply not do anything about this city and let Krish decide if he wants to, I don't know, place some tiles over here to maybe invest into this city. Because red would need to place tiles into the city in order to get any of his monastery meeples back, and so that would be ideal. It could be a source of a lot of tension. And then with the temporary meeple majority, Ignacio could use it to build up the field, and that's exactly what he's doing like this. So build up the field and make up for the scoreboard difference with the field. So that would be a possible comeback strategy for the Argentinian now. But Krisna will have several tricks up his sleeve. So now we can see simple moves building up his monastery. But there's one threat in the position which is a bit obscure, but it is surprisingly more likely to happen than you might think. So first of all, I need to draw your attention to the fact that this square is now blocked as a result of this move by blue. And so in this area, red is going to have 2 meeples trapped compared to just 1 meeples trapped off blue. But this city is open. And what red could do is draw a bunch of tiles, a bunch of city tiles that go like this, and through back-to-back tiles join to this big city whilst also building up his monastery. And the thing is, like, it's not that easy to see if you're blue. And if you're blue, it's also not that easy to prevent, because it would require, well, I guess as blue, just blue would need to get a Dorito tile and point it downward at some point before Krisna manages to do anything like this. A radical option for blue would be to go here with the city cap straight up, just kind of sacrificing a couple of points, but making sure to cover up this meeple, don't allow room for further extension. But at a 19-point deficit on the scoreboard, it's not something that you could really afford. So I think what Ignacio's going to do is, well, one of 2 options: either complete the city or start yet another city and try to really, really expand this field. Sergey's asking, will I continue streaming after this match? Oh, yes, I'm streaming 3 back-to-back matches, so I've just submitted it in the former Carcassonne GG like 2 minutes ago. So you can see all the pairings on the screen that will occur. The matches are starting 1 hour after each other. First this one, then Colombia against Taiwan, and then UK against Poland. Yeah, so we can see that Mr. Nacho here finishes the city, gets 4 points at the scoreboard, a meeple back, and as a result, this field is already worth 9 points. Loads of green squares, going to be a huge field. Krisna starts a monastery over here using the stacking approach, but I wonder if it may have been stronger to start monastery over here, setting up a 4-point road. Yeah, and you can see that Big Nacho takes 3 points for the road. Anyway, the reason for this is that Krisna will want to finish this monastery after all, but if he does that, he will need to spend a Dorito tile here on building up Ignacio's city. But it could be tricky, because imagine if Krisna gets a Dorito tile, goes over here, and then Ignacio gets another Dorito tile and goes over here and covers up this city. And suddenly it's 1 square away from being finished. And so then this would require red to frantically attack the city at the bottom, either by trying to block or trying to invade. So this sort of situation could really, really backfire. There is also another possibility. Maybe Krisna is just happy with playing a meeple minority the entire game, sort of build up these monasteries, either allow blue to block the square or even block the square himself, be okay with losing 2 meeples, but then just build up points in the process, hold on to the 12-point lead on the scoreboard, build up some small cities, and just allow Ignacio to build his field. The problem with that is that it will only work if Krisna does not draw a lot of city, if Ignacio doesn't draw a lot of city caps. Because if Ignacio draws a lot of city caps, now that it is the Argentinian player has the clear meeple majority as a result of all these monasteries over here, well then, a divider over here, like this field can grow out of control real quick. There is an invasion point, of course, but long term, Red absolutely cannot fight for the field. So what Red needs to do, Red needs to induce Blue dropping another farmer into the field, and then that would make the game somewhat balanced. If Red can force to build this farm with 2 farmers rather than just 1, then Red can score a little bit. Yeah, and you see, the stuff that I was talking about keeps happening. So this was a very interesting move by Big Nacho, kind of like opening invasion opportunities, blocking opportunities, and now I think Ignacio's gonna go for it. What an interesting situation. So it's like Krisna sort of busy building little objects on the right, and it's not that he has a lot of good options to do that. But now, as I told you, he's covering up. Okay, I told you he'd do that with the Dorito, but he's using that with the triple city tile. That's the same effect. He has the Dorito here. He's not going to place it here now. I think now is the time for Ignacio to actually try and complete the city. He can go here and allow Red to complete his monasteries, but then he'll easily draw a tile here and a tile here to finish a city for like 30 points almost. Wait, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 26 points or 28, depending on if the Dorito that goes here is going to have the shield on or not. So, ideally, of course, this is not the order in which you want to be doing things. As Blue, you want to first of all cover up that square, maybe cover up that square, and then decide whether you want to block. Yeah, he's going for it. He's going for the big city. I really like this idea. So initially, of course, Blue's idea was different. Blue's idea was to build a big ruin. But if he has a chance to complete the city, why not try it? And you see, this already forces some concessions for Krisna. Instead of using his city cap over here, which honestly I still would have done that. I still would have used the city cap over here. Instead, he uses it over here to add a monastery point, a city point indirectly, and more importantly, create an attacking platform against the city on the left. Yeah, I wonder if chasing around the city is that important. So one thing that Krisna is really good at is prioritization. Like when you need the same tile in multiple spots, he's very quick at sort of assessing the position and finding like which one's really the most urgent. So the move that gave him wow, what an interesting sequence. Okay, so I'll talk about his past games a little bit later. I just need to comment on this. So Ignacio is trying to prevent Krisna from completing his monasteries, or at least making it much harder. And it is much harder because 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's only 1 curve remaining in the deck. So only 2 tiles that fit here, 1 curve and a road monastery. And Ignacio can still actually go over here and meeple this road and try to block this square permanently. So that's a nice sequence. And in the meantime, Krisna still has the same idea that was talking about for ages. So this combo plus the city cap plus this triple city allows for a tile to be placed over here, and this meeple be used to connect to the big city over here. Well, it won't be the case because Krisna now has to do something about that city. I don't think he can afford to protect his monastery. I don't think he can afford to finish his city here. I think he has to go here, and then it's a good question. Like, does he attack the city in order to invade it? Or does he attack the city in order to block it? And there's pros and cons for both. So first of all, invasion is a bit more important because this city has a lot of points even as a ruin. And now I'm a bit puzzled as to why he would finish his city instead of going over here. Maybe he knows something I don't. Well, the situation slightly changed since last time. So you see, when he placed this city cap over here, it was the penultimate vanilla city cap on the board. But now it's the last vanilla city cap on the board. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of them have gone out. And this means that there are fewer tiles remaining for this guy to finish his city. And even it's possible to place a curve here like this, requiring Big Nacho to draw like a very specific tile. He would need to draw the one remaining vertical city splitter in order to finish the city like this. So we see that Krisna does invade the city, except he does this a move later. But the reason why I was sort of not sure if that's clearly the best move is that normally, of course, you need to try and invade, well, as quickly as possible. But in this position, there's still 2 splitters. And chances are that blue can easily draw a splitter before red manages to get a Dorito or a cow tile to connect. Only 1 cow tile remaining and 3 Doritos remaining, so still Krisna is the favorite to successfully connect to this city. But if Ignacio draws a splitter and then a Dorito to finish the city, then of course he's doing very, very well with those 26 or 28 points. We can see that Ignacio now meepling a 6-point monastery, and he doesn't have the meeple advantage anymore. But of course, he will have a meeple advantage once he completes this monastery. This monastery is super easy to complete, or once he draws one of the 3 remaining crossroads that fit over here to get his road meeple back. Now, Ignacio's thinking a little bit. Only 30 seconds on his clock, and he's probably thinking between trying to have a blocking attack and trying to reinvade. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised about this move by Ignacio, so he does get some quick points. He does get this 4-point move. But a move that I was thinking was possible, maybe just dropping the city cap next to his monastery, and then hoping for a couple of tiles that help expand his field and also build up the monastery. But Mr. Nacho here calculated correctly that there were still many city caps with a road piece as opposed to field side on them. And so he's better off just taking those four quick points. But now a crucial event that needs to be commented on. Krisna successfully connected to the big city by Big Nacho, and I still like Nacho's idea of trying to finish the city, even though the order of the tile is not ideal. It's just Krisna managed to, well, to do everything, managed to successfully connect the city and even managed to complete one of the monasteries. At least the second monastery is already blocked, because all of 3 tiles that could go into this square, they have gone out. And yeah, this looks extremely rough for Mr. Nacho here. He should probably go here or here, depends, but he should be expanding his field and the monastery at the same time. He's down 27 points on the scoreboard, and he needs to get exceptionally creative in order to get anywhere close at winning this game. there's still something to be done. Like, for example, he could go here, block the square, then get the splitter tile, get 6 points for the city and a meeple back while still keeping this guy trapped. And he does eventually drop a city cap next to his monastery, which, by the way, would have already been a completed city had he chosen to place that city cap like this a couple moves earlier. Krisna with a straight line. Is he gonna meeple some farms? Probably gonna meeple some farms. No, instead he goes for the blocking platform up top. So let's see how effective. Yeah, that's actually, it looks like it could be very effective, because if Krisna gets one more road tile, then Nacho's monastery will be completely blocked, because these dagger tiles, there are no more left. All 6 daggers are on the board, and Nacho can't even protect. So what is he gonna do? Just going here, getting a point. Yeah, like this. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Oh, that's rather painful that Krisna is able to not only block the square, but also take some quick points. And with that, we're going to expect a really, really one-sided result. Oh yeah, like I wanted to talk about Krish's prioritization a little bit. So if I'm completely honest, like I was a bit puzzled with his prioritization over here, that at first he chose not to finish his big city because of the not to finish his small city because of the urgency of this big city of his opponent. But then with the same tile he chose to finish his city and so on. So I would be interested really in knowing his logic, but the thing about his prioritization, there was one particular moment in the final of the 2024 Mind Sports Olympian Grand Prix against Nalleheim. In game 2, there was a pivotal moment where Krisna got a Dorito tile with a road, which fit into several places. He could get like 4 quick points for a road. He could, I think, add it to a city. But then he chose to sacrifice points and make an indirect defense of his monastery. And that worked like a charm. Nalleheim had a blocking tile in hand, and he wasn't able to block the monastery. And then a couple of moves later, Krisna got the monastery meeple back and then invested that meeple really, really well. It just happened to be one of those positions where meeple management was extremely important, like more important than it normally is, and the Latvian player was able to recognize that and make a bit of an unorthodox move based on the particularities of this position. So that's why sometimes his move might come across as weird, but they do work most of the time. Now, both players exchange quick points for the road. Nacho is minus 31 on the scoreboard. And we can see that the Latvian is piling up time pressure. I don't think that's deliberate. Like, other than this whole sequence with, you know, monasteries, big cities, and so on and stuff like this, the Latvian has had easy decisions most of the time, whereas being in the difficult position that the Argentinian is at the moment, his moves require a bit more thought. Krisna starting a new city, and great tile for Nacho. A little bit too late, but still gotta use it. So for example, the Argentinian could really get pretty close to winning if he gets all city caps, and he in fact does. Krisna does get one of the splitters and drops a farmer. Yeah, that's the technical way to do this, because when he gets, and if he gets another city cap, he's gonna get some more points for this farm. Sadly, not the best tile for Ignacio. That's, of course, looks like a good tile in a vacuum. But in order to benefit from these Dorito tiles, you really need to have at least 2 meeples in hand. Let's say if he goes here, start a new city, Krisna can probably block pretty easily. So I think what he should count right now, is there, out of the tiles remaining, at least one tile with which Krisna can't block? So for example, if there were a regular monastery remaining or a quadruple crossroads, that would be amazing. So let's say you go over here, your opponent draws a regular monastery and they can't block, they can only restrict like this, but then you draw the second splitter and then you finish the city and you get the 8 points. But it is not the case. All the 4 monasteries are on the board. So whichever tile Chris draws, it will be somewhat flexible and it will actually allow the block of the city. So I need to note that now city caps are in limited supply. In fact, there are no city plus road pieces. In fact, the only city cap remaining is a splitter. No, same as Chris just drew. So this means if Mr. Nacho, yeah, exactly. So he chooses, oh, that's a fantastic move by Nacho here. So he gets a 5-point city, but his idea is to get a splitter tile, yeah, for this one. And that's why Krisna very wisely connects these 2 cities in order not to allow Big Nacho to recover a 6-point meeple and expand his city to 9 points. But also Chris has a better idea. He just draws the second splitter himself for a completely obscene 39-point lead on the scoreboard. The Argentinian, with under a minute on the clock, has only his last move to make. Not sure if there's anything that he can do at all. Well, the answer is no. Yeah, he just... Whoops. Well, what's that about? What's that about Krisna making a mistake? Not noticing that there was a 6-point field up for grabs, instead meepling a 3-point road. That's sloppy. Maybe didn't want to look through the entire board, knowing that he's definitely winning this game by a lot. But come on, take the 6 points. This field is like a little bit hard to notice. It's a little bit obscure. And we can see that also Nacho placed this tile over here with the explicit purpose of blocking this 6-point field. And it's actually worked because Kristen didn't notice the other one. Yeah, so fortunately for him, the score difference was already huge. So these 3 points end up not mattering, as plus 33 is the win for Krisna. We can also see the disparity on the clock as well, just showing how tough Nacho's position was, and would have been 36 with optimal play. Another interesting situation here, interesting feature about this game. So obviously Red did draw quite a lot of city caps toward the end of the game, but this field with so much potential ended up scoring only 9 points, just 3 more than the last minute 1 square field of Krisna. So everything was going wrong in this game for Big Nacho. Everything was going right in this game for Krisna. Let's see if the second game is more of a fight. Well, what the Argentinian player has going for him is the starting player advantage, as he meeples the first road, and Krisna meeples the first city in response. Nacho meeples another city. Krisna starts a road at the bottom, and the Argentinian's trouble continue. He probably draws the worst possible tile in the deck at the moment, as he's forced to make the only legal move, which would be freeing up Krisna's road meeple. So imagine you're forced to give your opponent 2 points a meeple back, and also to make your city more vulnerable, exposing kind of a blocking square. So, but the thing is, like, it's not a move that loses you the game. It's just, you know, makes your slight inconvenience. So what Nacho should do here is not spend too much time on bemoaning his fate. Because, you know, like, whenever you draw the quadruple road tile or the quadruple city tile, and there's only one legal placement on the board, just place it there. Like, there's no other option. What are you thinking about? So the thing that to think about is whether to place a meeple, and the answer is yes, you absolutely should. You must place a meeple on this road end. Anything else would be a mistake. The idea here, it protects the city, because now Krisna can't go over here without adding a point to blue. So, well, that's interesting. So blue chooses to continue this road like this and expose a blocking platform against Krisna. It doesn't work, as the Latvian gets 6 points on the scoreboard for the city and a meeple back. Consideration included starting another road over here, which is probably what I would have gone for. Still can't blame the Argentinian for this move. It makes perfect sense. Now Krisna's probably going to start a new city over here, but he might have something more creative in mind. You never know. Yeah, and the plan behind this move for Nacho is to get a curve, and then any curve plus city tile, which there are plenty of in the deck, and then sort of get a 4-point loop and this tile over here. And then this city development potential over here like this. Yeah, so Krisna does indeed go for the traditional move. So one of the rare instances where I'm not surprised, he starts a new city, which controls his opponent's road, and then he's gonna build up his city like this. Ignacio with a curve with two options. One is, you know, continue with his plan, keep building his city and his road. Another one is to get greedy and go over here, start a 6-point loop, and then create an attacking platform against Krisna's city. Now that I've described this verbally, I really like the second move. The first move can, like, eventually we'll need to do this, the curve plus city idea, but it can wait. Yeah, I really like the aggression over here. And there's some ways how it could backfire, like if Krisna gets 2 quick points over here and then starts putting pressure on these 2 squares, but the upside is just great. It's just fantastic, so why don't we go for it? Okay. Krisna immediately starts a new city at the bottom and then, you know, starts putting the pressure on these squares. Not to worry too much about Big Nacho, for Big Nacho just yet. Like, all these meeples, they have a lot of potential. Yeah, so for example, let's say if blue does successfully finish this road, it will be, so this is 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves. It's 6 points, at least. It could be even more if he draws us some crossroad tiles. So this would mean that he scores 6 points with 3 moves, so it's 2 points per tile, which is basically like a city. And so that's the thing, like, when you're drawing a lot of roads, and you have 2 options. Either you can bemoan your fate and say how lucky your opponent is, and you can, you know, that they're drawing cities and you're drawing roads, or you can try patterns which allow to score you as much for roads as you would have for cities, and that way you balance the game. So the best players are all really good with roads, and Nacho's definitely delivering here. Now, he attacks Krisna's city, which, honestly, I don't think is the best move, but I can't recommend anything good with this tile for a Big Nacho. So, like, going over here is an option, and it looks like it's adding point to your city, but it makes it so much harder to complete. It's very awkward development. starting a new city somewhere else, it is dangerous because there are some scenarios how you get to lose 2 meeples even. So instead he chose to connect to Red City, but the thing is, like, Red City isn't that good in the first place, and it's already controlling Blue's road, so now Blue will need to spend some sort of city plus road tile just on getting his road meeple back. No real good options for Mr. Nacho here, and he went for the one which probably the least damaging. I think I have to agree with that, him eventually. Now Krisna does eventually try and block Ignacio's city, but as I said, he is adding road points, so Big Nacho's getting some compensation. Potential another 6-point loop over here, or more likely over here like this, through this square. A great tile for the Argentinian now, as surely he'll go over here, score 2 quick points, and secure this road. There is an option of taking these 3 quick points over here, but that's way too greedy. So he goes for the simple move, because this road was actually like a little bit vulnerable. Let's see. So Krisna does have his 2 cities open. Will he develop one of them, or will he instead do something else, like going over here? Yeah, exactly. I knew this. I knew this. And you see, like, when you play with somebody on a team for 3 years, you can just know what they're gonna do. So the idea behind this move is twofold. First, it makes sure that Blue cannot draw a splitter anymore. There were some possible situations where Blue could draw a splitter and then create an 8-point city by himself and then leave this guy stranded with just a couple of points. And the other one was putting pressure on this road, because let's say if Krisna were to get a big tile, then suddenly there would be only 1 tile left to fit into the square, and even that tile would not end the road. That would just expand the road with further chances for that road meeple getting blocked. And that's why the Argentinian is forced to spend a good tile on just bailing his meeple out. Yeah. And also another reason why I think Krish opted for this is the fact that adding a Dorito to your city caps, it's really like, it's not that useful. So it gives you more points, but in both instances, whether you add this Dorito tile here or here, it actually makes the city a bit more vulnerable for attack or for invasion or for blocking. So yeah, this move did end up working out. Krisna with a 5-point monastery, the first monastery of the game. Mr. Nacho here with a regular city cap. Some things to think about. If you're getting really desperate, you can probably go here and invade the city and try to complete it. That would honestly be a bad move here. First of all, because there are only 2 tiles left instead of 3, and 75% is not a good enough chance to actually try and do something like this. And second, because there's still plenty of squares for blocking the city. Yeah, and that's why he decides not to do it. He simply starts a new city on the left. He starts the city pretty much in the only possible platform that does not obstruct him. Now equalizes Krisna's monastery, so a very, very important tile for the Argentinian. Now that Red is going to go over here to finish his monastery, this blue guy will freeload off these 2 tiles and get 2 points, and with that, an opportunity to maybe get another blue monastery on top of this stack. Hi, Agatha. Krisna finishes his city, 5 points on the scoreboard extra for the Latvian. The Argentinian with a curve. Yeah, not sure exactly what to do with that. That's really tricky. I think the best I can think of is going here and just creating a platform against Krisna's city, but even that is not strong enough. So you're probably better off just going over here and getting yourself a monastery point. Or, yeah, going here is actually pretty good too. So if you go here, what you could end up doing, you prevent Krisna's side of the ruin from growth. Because if you don't do anything about this whole situation here, then Krisna can go here, block the square, then he can get one of the 2 remaining horse tiles to score 2 points for the road and build up the city and then get loads of good stuff. And look at this. Krisna actually had one of those tiles in hand, so that was an excellent recognition on the part of the Argentinian to find a useful move that actually matters. Yeah, and the Latvian doesn't have any good moves here anymore. So, I mean, that's one of them. But what I meant is that he doesn't have any scoring moves. This move is, of course, very strong. It creates an extremely annoying blocking opportunity, which the Argentinian is going to have some trouble dealing with. But basically, with any Dorito or triple city tile, the Latvian is threatening to go over here, adding a point to blue, but also blocking this square, which is why, yeah, that's exactly what happens. So, well, I mean, that doesn't happen, but in order to prevent it from happening, the Argentinian places a curve over here, kind of filling this square. You know, you can't block a square if there's already a tile in there. But the downside of this move is that this square is now vulnerable. So Krisna could actually just go here if he so chooses, start a monastery, and then also restrict and control this square. Or, you know, he could just take 3 points. Or he could use this as a monastery tile. Yeah, and probably the monastery tile is just plain stronger. His plan, of course, is to get something like a straight line, complete his monastery, use this other monastery to equalize all these squares at the top that the blue monastery has available. And then if he gets a straight line, he would also block this square, or at the very least make sure that blue needs the same tile in these 2 places. Yeah, it's been a long time and blue still hasn't drawn the starting tile, which he kind of needs. So still plenty of chances to blue. Like, if he manages to resolve this situation completely, blue's doing really well. Blue's probably in the driver's seat. Also, like, this is a 6-point road that's waiting to finish. Yeah, so I think blue's only problem is the temporary meeple disadvantage and the fact that Krisna could exploit that. And, of course, if he gets this sort of tile, then this will leave Krisna 1 chance to actually try and invade that city. It's not that easy to do. And there's also another problem for blue. Well, blue in the meantime chooses to restrict red city. I wonder if that was best. I mean, I would have probably done the same after long deliberation, but a move which was really worth considering for Nacho was actually deciding that, you know what, the chances of me finishing the city are not great. So what I can do instead, I can just add this quadruple city tile here, and then build up a ruin, and then this city actually use as the 1 city that I'm trying to complete. Also, if you place this tile over here, the quadruple city tile, and you do happen to draw both the starting tiles that fit here and here, okay, then you should shift plans. With the quadruple city tile here, you can still actually later try and build up this city towards completion somewhat, like this. So it's still possible if you have to. And another problem with adding the quadruple city tile here is that it is not as effective when you are at a meeple minority. I got burned like this plenty of times, so one game that comes to mind a lot is a game that I lost very narrowly against well, against Matt Tucker. That wasn't the World Championship game. That was at the 2023 in-person Mind Sports Olympiad. So I was at a meeple disadvantage. I had some good field, and I got the quadruple city tile, and I added it to my opponent's city, kind of preventing it from completing it. But then because I just had one meeple, what Matt kept doing, he just kept adding city caps on all sides, sort of renewing the threat of completion. And then I couldn't just really do anything about this, because if I invade that city, then I lose my valuable meeple with which I can score quick points. And quick points were just so important in that position. There were loads of quick point scoring tiles. So I wonder if something like this could happen here. Like, Krisna could just start building up this city and build it to completion. And Big Nacho probably won't really be able to stop it. There's just not a lot of time for blocking. There's it's not that easy to, and also Nacho doesn't have the meeples to invade. Yeah, so when you do make moves like this, you typically should be prepared to invade the city if you have to. But so far it's working out for Nacho. He's drawing some quick point tiles, so we can see that Krisna was trying to permanently block the square, and the Argentinian drew a defense with 3 tiles going over here. And he now drew a city cap, which will go over here. He's probably thinking about covering up his city on the left. I would still wait. I think taking out the city cap is just way more important, because there's so many Doritos in the position. Like, there's still 6 Doritos unseen plus the 2 splitters. So it's like, it's almost a quarter of the deck. And you can't allow red build an 8 or even 10 or even 12 point city with Doritos like this. So he does take out that option. Krisna with another monastery, but the Argentinians only 4 points behind on the scoreboard. So a lot on this in this game will depend on when and if the starting tiles are drawn. If blue finishes this city and maybe even this 6-point road, which is going through his city as a result, then blue is going to do really, really well. On the other hand, Krisna with the monasteries and still the temporary meeple majority after he's going to finish this city, he can do, well, he can accomplish a lot of good things himself, such as claiming this 9, 12, or even 15-point field early on. But finally, we have what we've been waiting for. Critical decision, the Sophie's choice for Big Nacho, the starting tile. Where does it go? Do you go over here or do you go over here? Of course, only 2 options. In reality, one option is much, much better than the other. It is way, way better to place over here for 2 reasons. First of all, they are, again, as I told you, 6 Doritos plus the 2 splitters in the position. So it's really, really easy to threaten the completion of this city. Second, yeah, and he does go for it. Second, if you go over here, you're leaving the 6-point road open, which could be picked up by Krisna. And third, in case Krisna does draw a tile that can be used to invade this city, then actually the Nacho will immediately have the option to complete his 6-point loop road like this. But he completes a different loop road. He completes the 6-point road that he started way, way, way earlier. Of course, it's a 5-point road because it was cut short a little bit by this 2-point road over here. But yeah, finally, Ignacio gets a meeple back, and this actually started looking pretty difficult for the Latvian now. Only 3 points on the scoreboard. Yeah, sure, these monasteries are nice, but now I'm kind of starting to get afraid if there's even enough time to complete those. Yeah, so he chooses to try and complete one of the monasteries. Ignacio with a straight line, and he's now putting a lot of pressure on the Latvian here. I would have placed a farmer always, every single time. Yeah, I'm so surprised about this. Because, like, if Krisna draws any city capital, he'll have such an easy 9-point field move. And Ignacio has the meeples. Like, Ignacio gonna get a meeple back here or here very, very soon. And what a move from Krisna. I like the idea. I absolutely love the idea. Except that he's gonna get burned like this immediately. Oh, will he? So here's the idea. Man, like, Krisna knows, as I told you, that there's still 6 Doritos and 2 splitters, so 8 tiles that finish the city immediately. So he adds a point to Mr. Nacho here to make it much harder to complete the city, or significantly harder, and make sure that he can't do that immediately if he gets a Dorito. So he does get a starting tile, and it looks like Krista's move was useless, but it really wasn't, because this starting tile is this is the place for the starting tile, like that Krisna wanted, that Big Nacho wanted. And by placing this move, Krisna's forcing to use the starting tile in a suboptimal location. It also breaks this 6-point loop potentially. And if Krisna gets the last starting tile, he can go over here and block this road meeple, and of course leave this meeple without prospect of survival either. Yeah, so now the mistake of Big Nacho is really shows. So he now has a significant meeple advantage, 3-2-1, but yet it is Krisna who's the first on the field. You really don't want to allow your opponent tempo moves like this. So Krisna has a very nice 9-point field here. Of course, Mr. Nacho can always go here, take the 6-point field, take another tile, attack this, but like, why spend 2 extra tiles on field invasion if you don't have to? And so first of all, he's trying to get his road out of harm's way, because remember this idea that I told you about the starting tile being drawn by red and placed over here for blocking? Blue also knows this, and he's trying to get some curvy tiles to create an 8-point road, so the stakes are even higher now. Krisna's building up his city over here. I wonder if some other moves were possible, so I was thinking maybe Krisna could try play small ball, isolate his field, but he doesn't do that, and I can see why. Okay, so this game is getting really interesting. Krisna gets 4-point fields off for the road and disrupt the idea of an 8-point loop happening for Big Nacho. Big Nacho, in the meantime, decides to cover up his city from the other side, start a new one, and then basically go all out for the one remaining starting tile, which would give him an 8-point city and the road, and probably a very juicy farmer. But Krisna now with only 1 meeple, he has the 6-point farmer here, but this farm is so open that blue can drop farmers here and invade. So kind of use his temporary meeple majority to really get a stronghold on the farm. Now, the options for the Argentinian include kind of a normal move, just finishing this city and dropping, just finishing the city and that's it. Maybe even starting a new one. But I'm starting to think that maybe we need to be proactive here, and why don't we just go here as the Nacho player and drop a farmer? Yeah, and he does exactly that, and it does exactly that. And the idea of this move, it's an anticipation move, because Krisna was going to get a curve or something like this and drop a farmer here himself. So now with the Dorito tile, an interesting choice for the Latvian against loads of Doritos, so 5 Doritos remaining plus a splitter. This allows actually a really nice threat of completing a big city, and there's not a lot of time for a blue to do anything about this, because like blue has his own issues, blue has his cities over here, and there aren't not that many road tiles remaining that blue can go and spend on blocking. So a move for Krisna could be here, or here, or here, or something like this. I mean, here probably. But the problem with that approach is that there are many Doritos in the deck, not just for red, but also for blue. And blue could very easily draw a couple of Doritos and get the city toss, like loads of city toss for himself. So a move that Krisna could be considering is going over here. Exactly. With the meeple or without, that's not an obvious question. Maybe with. Maybe even with a meeple, yeah. I think we can take the risk. Exactly. So the idea is that there's so many more Doritos than there are city caps that this is actually really disruptive. And Reds can now try to finish a smaller city over here with 2 Doritos. Or a plain city cap. Yeah, that also works just fine. And now also the starting tile is needed by Big Nacho in both places. So that was an absolutely amazing move by Krisna. Like, not many players would have found that, I believe. I mean, no, like, many players would have found that move, but to actually assess the position and make that choice, that's what makes it brilliant. But another thing that's brilliant is this tile for blue. So that's amazing. He gets 2 points. He gets a meeple back from the monastery for a 10-point lead on the scoreboard and another temporary meeple lead. And he sets up a devastating move with the 1 remaining starting tile that goes here. If he gets the starting tile, he will get 8 points for the city and a meeple back, plus the 6-point road with just 1 click of a mouse. And now Nacho has a couple of options with a straight line. He could go the blocking route, just go over here and prevent red from drawing a bunch of Doritos, which still there are loads of in the deck. Or he could just go over here and score some road points. Try to like build a 5-point road. The problem with that is it would sort of help red with his monasteries, and you really don't want to help your opponent when you are at a meeple advantage. Yeah, instead he goes here trying to create some blocking opportunities. Krisna scores quick points. This is, of course, only nets 1 point because he's scoring 4, but also giving 3 for Nacho's field. But it could really pay off because this also opens a field connection platform, which Krisna will use, I think, even if he has to spend his last meeple, just because the field is getting so big. Okay, isn't that interesting? So Big Nacho just adds a point over here. A move that I would consider is going over here, possibly with a meeple, just to mess with my opponent's monasteries. But he decides that he doesn't want to spend a meeple like this just yet. And now Krisna, again, with an interesting decision. So there was a choice of either going here and trying to build up a city, or just doing this, possibly with a meeple on the city cap, and trying to get a monastery meeple back. He does get a meeple back, and the scoreboard lead +3 for Krisna, and overall lead in this game. So now I think we need to do some counting. So 12 for these monasteries, that's +15. 5 for the city, that is +20. Then 1 for 8 for little features, that's +12. 4 points over here, that is +8 for red. But this field is worth 12 points because it has 4 cities compared to this city, which is worth 9 points. So only +5, and actually +2 because there's this city over here. Alrighty, so so just a 2-point difference, extremely close game. Now 5-point difference as Nacho has taken a 3-point field himself. The idea behind this move is, of course, not to take a 3-point field. It's simply to reinforce the main 12-point field, which could grow into something bigger still. because, you know, if blue were not to use this platform, then red would have just used this platform for invasion. But now that blue has invested in another meeple, red can try and have a different route for winning the game. Again, he doesn't have to attack the field. He can just now make some quick points and then you know, like, use his meeple elsewhere to try and win. Kristen just gets 4 points for the city, 1 for the monastery. Big Nacho with a fantastic tile, a road Dorito, which probably is going to be used to expand his city over here and threaten a completion. I believe there is still a city cap other than the starting tile over here. Let me check that. And yes, there are a couple of vanillas remaining. Yeah, so now blue is threatening to finish the city with vanillas. So will red go over here to block? But if red goes over here to block, red will be expanding blue's field by a lot. This is getting really dicey. And blue is still threatening this city over here. And this could turn really problematic. But then if red goes here, then red is probably committed to try and equalize the field. So, like, unify all the field into something big, try and invade over here, and so on and so on. Not sure if that's going to work with a second insurance meeple ready over here. On the other hand, if you ignore this threat, and if you take just 4 points, well, then blue's going to get a city cap, score 4 points, drop a farmer, and then that's GG. It's just way too many points. So the Latvian not in the best position here, but he has climbed out of worse. Let's see how he does this time. Thinking hard. Yeah, what would I do? Yeah, that's an option. So at least this means that only one of the cities can survive. And the Argentinian wins the coin flip and now gets a bazillion scoreboard points. So Krisna now needs to hustle. So what are some options? First of all, we can't really ignore this. Like, we're down 7 points. This field is super big, so we probably have to fight for the field. But how do we do this? Do we just first of all connect the upper meeple? Or do we go... Yeah, you know what? Maybe we go here, drop a farmer like this, and then invade through a regular city cap. That would be really, really neat. Hey, I think we can win this. I think that's the move. There's still a couple of road tiles, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like one curve or something. But there are not too many road tiles. So there actually are some scenarios how this guy never connects to the main field. So we could go here, drop a farmer, get one of those tiles that fit here. Or if that doesn't happen, we can get a Dorito tile always. And... then we can get a road tile to get this other meeple. And in some scenarios, this means that we even get to win this field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so one curve only remaining. And he does exactly that. Excellent spot. Requires quite a bit of discipline. So, of course, it's super tempting to just, I want to meeple the monastery. Or, you know, take some 3 points. That was also an option, like taking the 3 points. But... the 3 points don't do that much for somebody's blocking probability at the moment. Now, Nacho really needs to think about a response here. How does he do that exactly? Maybe going over here, just setting up some platforms for reconnection. Because if Krisna doesn't draw this tile immediately, then Big Nacho could use this platform, let's say get a Dorito, and drop a farmer himself. Yeah, he does exactly that. Krisna now with a Dorito, and this is going to get interesting. So he could just connect to the field. Sure, that could work. And then this would also prepare getting another monastery meeple, but a stronger move, I think, is one which allows him to go all out on the field. Over here, and a farmer. Yep. So the thing that kind of Big Nacho could do, now Krisna does. And the idea here is that when he draws the city cap, so there's like a very good chance of that happening. I don't remember how much, I'm too lazy to calculate. Over 80%. No, actually, I think it's exactly 80%. Yes, it's exactly 80% at this moment in time. He's gonna get one of these two tiles and bring two meeples in with one move. So that's why Big Nacho's trying to reconnect another farmer. So Krishna gets two farmers. Big Nacho gets another farmer over here. And now who's gonna draw the curve to connect his farmer? It's gonna be really, really 50-50. Well, now, okay, now it's gonna be 1 in 3 chance for Krishna to win this game. So this is so interesting. This field is tied. This game is super close, but it's gonna end with one of the players just... Wait, I think Krishna can improve his chances. What if we go here and try to block this square? So what are the remaining tiles? So it is a curve. So it is a curve. It is a city cap. And what's the third one? Are we running out of Doritos? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's not one of the big tiles. A little help from the chat. So basically, I'm thinking the idea here, like, as Krishna, if our opponent draws the curve, we lose, because then they connect over here, and then we don't connect to our city. But if we go over here now, what we could do, we could try and force Big Nacho to draw the curve immediately, because if we don't draw the curve immediately, we can draw something else and block the square. And then we would probably win, because we have a 9-point field versus a 3-point field, some monasteries, and this is actually enough. So we only need a tie on the field. Now I'm just trying to figure out what that last tile is. Is that a straight line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it is a straight line. Oh, okay, so that actually means that we're doing fantastic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so straight line, curve, and a city cap. So this means it's a 66% chance of winning. And Big Nacho probably going to connect to the field. I don't know. Yeah, so look, if Krishna gets the straight line, then it should be a win for him. Because of these two monasteries over here, the scoreboard difference is not enough to compensate for that. So, did Red draw the straight line? Yeah, and now also Mr. Nacho here needs to calculate a little bit. But I think it really doesn't matter that much, because he has to connect. I guess he's thinking that if he has a straight line, he can connect later. But if he has a straight line, he wins anyway. And I believe if he has the city cap in hand, if he gets the city cap, that he loses anyway. So let's say he connects to the farm, Red connects to the farm, farm is equal, then we take the city cap, gets 5 points, plus 12, the modular 13 minus 1, equal, 6 points. Oh no! Did I miscount? Did he miscount? Krishna gets the straight line and wins the field. I guess maybe Big Nacho calculated that he would be losing the game anyway, and so he just chose to take 4 quick points. Or maybe he miscounted the tiles. Maybe he thought that all the tiles were roads and that he would be getting a farmer in anyway. Because the thing is, like, the game would have been really close. So, I mean, Krisna will win this with absolutely fantastic board vision. Like, also this move over here, so hard to make. So hard to actually allow the big fields to be unified when you're behind on meeples and on farmers invested. Like, there was just so much subtlety, and the 30 extra points. And look at this. Big Nacho got all the tiles. The starting tile to finish one city. The starting tile to finish another city. The 6-point road. The recovered monastery. It's just so... And then Krista still won. That was just an amazing performance, honestly. One of the best endgames I've seen in a while. So congratulations to Krisna, who wins this 2-0 really convincingly, although the second game definitely made us all sweat. But I just want to see... Okay, so what would have happened if Nacho here would not have taken 4 points? So he would have 4 points less. If you were to use this tile to connect, he would have 27 points less, so because he would equalize the big farm. He would have 27 points more, so he would have 23 points more. So he would lose by 3 points. Yeah, so that was the point, is actually the penultimate move of Nacho didn't really matter. So scoring these 4 points for it was just fine. Yeah, so that's just absolutely fantastic. The farmer, the double farmer, and the block. Like, in order to make this happen, this move. Okay, just pure beauty. Malaham is saying, I don't think Krisna should have used the curve to block Blue City. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. If this one, well, I have to disagree, because this one seems to be pretty important. Just because it's also like shapes the board in that particular way. Anyway, I'm going to update the score, and we're going to move straight to our second match, which is already underway. Yeah, I'm surprised how long this game lasted. So even though there are only 2 games in this match, it lasted almost 1.5 hours, so a full-length match that you would expected. No, yeah, it's 2-0 already. I quite often keep forgetting updating the score. And now we proceed straight away to the duel of PenguinEM of Taiwan versus KilluminatiWarrior of Colombia. That is in Q4. So as you see, very high rated players, 767 and 647. So this is the qualification for top 8 players with the highest board ratings on Board Game Arena, at least the highest as of November 20th, 2024, when the players were selected. And I also happen to be playing in that qualification. By the way, I'm playing against David Bourdois tomorrow at 1700 UTC, and I'm likely to play with one of those players. Well, I think actually I'm guaranteed to play one of those players regardless of the outcome of our matches. So certainly interesting to me to see what they're capable of. The Taiwanese master with such a huge rating certainly will be one of the ones to watch. Oh, hi Ignacio. Yeah, great to see here. Yeah, the curve, it looked weird, but we calculated, but your curve move basically didn't match, or like, in terms of win percentage, it doesn't change the outcome of the game. Because I believe if you connect with the curve, then you lose by 3 points instead of losing by 30. But obviously, there's no difference between losing by 3 or by 30. Alrighty, so this position. First of all, is this the first game of the second game? I believe it's the first game still. Surely they can't have completed 2 games, right, in just 16 minutes. Although they're playing pretty fast. No! PenguinEM has already won the first game with a 9-point difference. So let me just update that for you real quick. So this one's gonna be for KilluminatiWarrior's life. Alrighty, and in the second game, the Taiwanese master is ahead significantly. So what do we have here going on? Scoreboard lead and meeple lead for the Taiwanese player. Even more so after getting more city points. Monastery for each, and extra monastery for Mr. Warrior here. And Reds is now trying really hard to fight for the big city in the center. I think this move may have been a little bit premature. So of course he's trying to maybe invade here. But he already needs a Dorito with a road here. And he's gonna need a Dorito with a road here too. And now it's tricky because this square and this square are under attack. So maybe as Mr. Warrior here, what I would have preferred with here is just to move like this, pre-finishing this road on a board where it's starting to slowly run out of crossroads. Wow, he goes really all out for that big ruin. So there's still 3 tiles remaining that fit here, but that is his last meeple. Well. Okay, so it does end up working out as he will manage to connect over here, but does he even want to go here, or does he want to go here first? No, he doesn't. And now Mr. Penguin here with a Dorito with a road. This city still has the black majority here because this red meeple's yet to connect. 3 tiles remaining that go here. Black immediately reconnects, but there are some splitter tiles still in the deck. So there still are some scenarios where red gets a splitter and then runs away with the city for like 46 points. Unlikely, but possible. Agatha is saying ruin war. Technically, it's still city war. It's not even a ruin war yet. Like, it's a completable city. Likely, of course, to become a ruin. Mr. Warrior continuing his road at the same time obstructing Black's monastery. Black just building the city over here, and KilluminatiWarrior draws the last Dorito tile, which surely will go over here. Now he's threatening to have a majority on this city. But these meeple problems, he really needs a rodent coming up soon. Whilst Mr. Penguin just building up stuff up top. Now covering up the city over here, I think that was premature. No, that wasn't. No. Because I think the idea is to try and get the city completed, even with this piece involved. I think that's a bit too ambitious. I would have probably preferred a slightly different move over here, but... oh, that's a tricky situation. So, you see... Black is creating some blocking attacks. And red needs the crossroads to get a meeple back. But it takes a huge risk because with any city plus road tile, this square will be blocked. this square will be completely blocked because the quadruple city tile has gone out. But now that I think about this, maybe that's not such a huge risk. Yeah, so red connects over here. Red is waiting to get another tile here. Black in the meantime just wants to, I think the strategy of black is just to allow red taking over this big ruin and then try to run away with his scoreboard lead plus the field. And this might as well just work out. Okay, now I think as red, it's time to actually defend. And just in time, as Penguin had a blocking tile. Now, a move, yeah, so this is a very, very good move. 2 quick points, and this is just simply making sure that red will be able to take over the ruin, but not complete it. Red's now trying to get a meeple back, but it won't work as black's gonna go over here, leaving red just 1 tile short of getting his monastery meeple back. And that, I believe, would be an almost complete block. So if you place this tile over here, there's only 1 dagger that fits into the square, just 1. But Mr. Warrior here gets a super important triple city tile that gives him a 4-3 majority on this 25-point ruin, I believe. But will that be enough? No, it won't. No, not there, not there. No, you had such a good road. Why are you playing instantly? Oh, this is painful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you had to go for it. Like, place your last meeple on the road. Because this ruin is not enough. And now, actually, what red might end up doing, red might just go over here. Simply to get some extra points from this ruin. Because, so red has already 4 meeples, and black has 2. And black has 2. Yeah, look at this. Yeah. So red gets 2 curves, and these 2 curves could have been used over here to score a 7-point road to get a meeple back. Yeah, so now this road will belong to Penguin. I mean, how painful is that? Also, this tile over here, it was perfectly safe to just go over here because there were barely any tiles left to complete a connection for Penguin. Yeah, another curve in the deck. And so I can understand like Warrior's move here as well, trying to finish the monastery, but meeples are not that valuable on this board. 7 points are way more valuable. Well, a very painful. Wait, why didn't red go over here himself? Yeah, man, red with loads of mistakes, to be honest. And that's because red is playing instantly, like red is unnecessarily tilted. But maybe red still can do something about this big field. So, well, not yet, because black is getting another field. Now red, time to think of something. Just get some quick points. Penguin gets more field points. And does red have a way to attack the field? I don't think so. No, he does not. He just simply takes 4 quick points. Also not in the best way, to be honest. Going here was better. Setting up a 6-point field. Yeah, red losing just so many points. So losing 3 points towards the end. Yeah, like had red simply done this, right, taken 4 points here, this farm instead of 3 would have scored 6. And it's something that's very easy to calculate if you are willing to do so. So after taking over this ruin, I believe red left like close to 20 points on the board. So yeah, so it looks like this game wasn't winnable because the difference is 23 points. But actually red had the tiles to get like super close to those 23 points. So first of all, this tile, no need to be afraid. Just go over here, connect all the cities. I know it looks risky, but with just 2 Doritos remaining, like you can do that. And especially in a game that you're losing, you have to do that, right? So Agatha is asking why red didn't invade one of the fields. I believe because there weren't tiles to do that. So like this field over here, it's just not possible to invade. It was maybe possible to set up an invasion, but this field is actually really closed. Yeah, but first of all, just going over here. And the thing is, like, if you go over here, and imagine if black draws a Dorito, which he did, then black could go over here and attack this for a 50-50 shot at the city. But from black perspective and the lead that black has, you really don't want to do that because you risk having your meeple stranded for just 2 points if your opponent gets the Dorito. And if you're the side with the lead, you should be assuming that your opponent gets the Dorito. So I believe the courageous move is actually going over here was warranted. And here's the idea. So red had 4 meeples here on the city, and black had 2. And black had a 3rd meeple here. If red places a tile here, black loses his 3 points because this ruin's still under red's control, and red gets 5 extra, so that's an 8-point move. Then, with this curve over here, with these 2 curves, instead of just getting 2 points, reds could have gained 7 points in a meeple back. It was an absolutely the spot, a good spot to place your last meeple with plenty of curve voids remaining. So 7 points. So 7 instead of 2, so 5 points missed, like 13 points already missed. Third move, this tile over here, I'm not sure why he just dumped it. It was way better to to score 4 points himself and also deny black these 7 points. So red scored 0 instead of scoring 1, because that's 4 points for red, 3 points for this field, so that's 1. And also, black ended up scoring 7 instead of 0 because the spot was still available. So that's another 8 points lost. So we have 5, 8, 8. We have 21 points already lost by red. And towards the very end, with this tile over here, red took 4 points. Took 4 points by taking a 3-point road and adding 1 to this monastery, getting a meeple back. It was possible to take 4 points by simply finishing the city, setting up a 6-point field instead of a 3-point field. So 3 more points. So it's actually, there you go. These are 24 points that red left on the board, among others, that made it. Yeah, so this game was absolutely winnable, and like these are not all such easy finds, but also I was surprised that these moves were played instantly. So not something that I would expect in Q4. And yeah, black just took advantage of it. Honestly, like black just played pretty much an optimal endgame, especially strategically. Like black wasn't desperate about the city. Black realized that it was okay to concede the ruin. Black just took some measures to prevent the worst case scenario, to prevent the ruin actually being completed for like 50 points. And then black ran away with his huge field. again, all was preventable by red, but preventable and prevented is not the same thing. Okay, Agatha is saying the left dagger put on top and invade the top field. Let me think about this. The left dagger. Oh, no. So this was the last dagger of its kind. Ah, you're talking about this field. No, but the top field is not worth enough. It's only 9 points. And like if you just take 4 points here and 6 points here, it's a 10-move sequence. And if you invade the field at the top, it is a 9-point sequence. Actually, a 6-point sequence because this city wasn't even completed necessarily. So, and as for this field, well, the main field does seem to be impenetrable. Yeah, well, and also, one other thing why I'm kind of like not happy about the outcome of the match is because we have now a 26 minutes break before the next game. Like, what do we do? Yeah, I mean, you just see the contrast. Interesting that, like, Mr. Warrior here, not that much faster than his opponent. But also, like, it's easy to play fast when you're in the lead. And if your opponent's playing fast and you're in the lead, then you actually want to keep a medium tempo. You sort of, you want to, like, the game proceed in a light pace towards finish, unless you have, like, some very, very difficult decisions. You don't want to think for too long because you don't want to give your opponents some hope. Like, imagine if you are ahead by a lot and you still think a long time. Then a thoughtful opponent will make the conclusion, hey, this guy's really good in Carcassonne, and he's thinking for a long time. I think I'm losing by a lot, so maybe he knows something that I don't. Maybe actually I have a chance in this game, so I might as well also start looking for ways to win this game. But, you know, if you play fast enough, then it's like, yeah, we play styles, whatever. Then maybe your opponent does not notice all these winning ideas. So I guess we're going to talk a little bit more, and then we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to watch the final match, which starts 25 minutes from now. I just want to show like some of the other interesting scenarios in this game. So let's say if red pulls the trigger on this move, sort of eating up this meeple, then we know that in the game black drew the Dorito, so that would be like a really big dilemma for black, whether to go over here and go for the 50-50 invasion and risk leaving a meeple just with 2 points stranded, or just simply, you know, ignore the ruin and do something else. But imagine if black draws something like a city cap. Then black can draw a city cap, but then we can also draw another city cap and reinvade the city and have like a 5 versus 4 majority. Or, you know, we can simply ignore this and try to draw, maybe like we draw a Dorito and we block the square. Or, you know, like a city cap plus road, something like this. So there were all kinds of options, but simply the idea, like, of course, this normally would be correct with the correct move with a different score. Like, imagine if red were ahead after this ruin, then red, of course, does not want to go here and does not want to gain 7 points, even because, despite the fact that 7 points is a lot of points, because red does not want to expose a reconnection platform. But when you're behind, you actually want to expose a reconnection platform because there's a chance that your opponent might try to invade, and then they can lose a meeple, and then you win. So yeah, it's just Carcassonne strategies are so, well, I mean, the optimal strategy for each position really depends a lot on the current score, So much so that I like to say that the score and the meeple count. Well, first of all, meeple count is part of the score because meeples, unplayed meeples, have certain value. And I would say that the score is part of the position. And to achieve the best outcomes in this game, you would need to treat this as such. Yeah, all right, so spectacular showing from the Taiwanese. We're going to update the score, and then we're going to look at the tournament table, and then we're going to have a lengthy break. Before the final duel of today. So let's start with the tournament situation. These are all the players. That's great. Well, that's, yeah, I guess, so the players who play in Q4, they're not on this general list. So let's look at the Q4 bracket. So, oh, nice. The results were very quickly submitted. So, we're gonna have an East Asian derby. So PenguinEM versus Rabbit Rain. I will do my best to stream this. I mean, Rabbit Rain just an absolutely incredible Japanese player. I've been fortunate enough to read some of their thoughts on some of their opening moves on Koki Yamaguchi's website, topcarcassonner.com. So the one that has all the Carcassonne puzzles on there. And then they will play with the winner of the pair, Alexey versus Deftine, which is happening tomorrow. As for KilluminatiWarrior, of course, he still has a chance to qualify because, remind you, this is a double elimination format. And he will play against Pavel Breen, who fell victim to the rabbit in round 1. Caro Payun versus João Margarido. It's the other duel. So let's look at qualification 3. So this is where Krisna was just playing. So Krisna will now play against the winner of the pair, Bakshe and Claudio Jorquera. I would expect the Latvian to be the favorite against either one, but I think maybe he will find Bakshe a bit more inconvenient. Not only, I mean, of course, like all players here are going to be strong, but he's not only strong, but he's a newer player as well. So he's a bit harder to prepare for. And I've played against him a couple of times. Like he does, has really strong board vision. So Bakshe of Thailand. Reminder that Thailand placed second in the Asian Cup this year. And then after that, these guys going to be playing with winner of this bracket. Siegfried versus Locoil happening this evening. I'm not sure when LSC is going to be playing Zita Kuto. And Big Nacho will be playing in the losers bracket. So, okay, so this is loser of 9. Who will be playing against? So we don't know that yet. But he'll be playing against... Oh yeah, so either Lazy Boar of the UK or loser of 3. What's loser of 3? Oh yeah, whoever loses between Siegfried and Locoello tonight. And then Q1, that's so you see it's divided into 4 subgroups. So these were the ones that we looked at yesterday. Oh, Erwin Basiliuk is going to be such a showcase. But this is a match that's going to end in 5 minutes. Basiliuk is also pretty fast. And this is a match that's going to last 2 hours. Kaimi Chishita, former Japanese champion, just an incredibly strong player. No, that's not what I wanted to see. No, I still want a Q1. We just want to look through those different brackets. Where's Pricci and LordTerrocloth? Yeah, so they're all in the second bracket, and they are now competing for the right to face the former captain of Team Germany, Miami. Oh yeah, and in the losers brackets, they're going to be facing Daniel Ayala. Yeah, so not a great prospect in any case. Like, if you go into the losers bracket, you kind of want to find somebody not as strong as Daniel, but it is what it is for them. Alrighty, now it's really time to take a break. I'll see y'all in 15 minutes, and I'll just neaten a bit the scoreboard. Yeah, there we go, like this. No, not like this, but like this. Yeah, I think it's nicer. And put up the notice for the break. And we'll be back straight for the start of the match with no intro. Alrighty, see y'all in 15 minutes. And we're back a little bit earlier than the start of the actual match, just to have time for some symbolic banter. Hi, Wise Maze. Thanks for the kind words. And that's interesting. Yeah, I do get like a lot of comments that you know, there are people who prefer to watch not only streams but also recordings of my videos in double speed. Although I wonder why, because sometimes I have the opposite feeling. Sometimes I have a feeling that I speak too fast. Sometimes I do have the feeling that I speak too slow. But really curious to see how that works in double speed. Anyway, yeah, so the match you're about to see in 2 minutes between pricci of Poland and LordTerrocloth of the UK, so kind of both expert level players. You can see their ratings right here. Oh wow, 663 already? Okay, this is interesting. So first of all, this is a really new player. Let's see when they joined. I think it's pretty recent. Yeah, so they joined just less than 2 years ago, but this is joining the board game arena in the first place. Already got a couple of thousand games in and a 663 rating, and they won the qualification tournament. So in the national qualification tournament, so that's a pretty big deal. And yeah, the 42-year-old from Durham, UK. Well, Durham is one of the major university cities, probably third famous after Cambridge and Oxford. Yeah, but it's nice to see that, you know, like, I had a feeling that the UK was a bit of a closed environment, that they had this team of 10 or so people initially for the 2021 World Team Carcassonne Championship, and then the composition of the team didn't change that much compared to some other countries like Spain and Portugal. Sort of just kept getting newer and newer players, but it's great to see there is a new high-rated player on the scene. I really don't know that much about them, so I'll be curious to comment their game for the first time. Pricci of Poland has been around the block for a couple of international tournaments. As you see, 8,000 games. I think quite a few arena games as well. They've been playing recently and today. So roughly 500-ish, a little bit more rating, I believe. Yeah, that is their stable, and frequently lined up in matches in international tournaments as part of Team Poland. So, well, at least rating-wise, the favorite does indeed seem to be the new British player. If they have any UK people in the chat, do let us know, maybe tell us more about him. But if not, we'll just let Carcassonne speak for itself. Well, the match should be starting now. Why is it not starting? I got the time right? So this is the main thing. This is the schedule. 1600 UTC. Now it's 1600 UTC. Oh, nice. The results are already in. Earlier today, we have several other results. Finally at 1800, we're gonna have Rodas versus Alchemist. That's the previous game from earlier today. Alrighty, time to play. Let's go. Chop chop. It's 1602. And both of them are online. Oh, hello! We actually have LordTerrocloth in the chat. I'm not familiar with all expressions, so I'm not sure if a kick in the head is a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, good luck in the game. So we know for sure that the match is happening. Another thing that we can look at. Wait a second, I just want to have a look at qualifications. No. Wait, let's just go here. And here we can see all the different countries' national qualifications, but I think UK's qualification was a little bit earlier down the line. I'm very curious whom he defeated in the finals. Alrighty, action is starting. It's a 1603 LordTerrocloth outrating his Polish counterpart for almost 100 points, but of course rating only matters so much. Alrighty, so what do we have? We have pricci taking the first 4 points. LordTerrocloth with the green meeples taking New City, and the Pole immediately equalizing it. And finally, we have the first 4 points for the Brit. No, the first 2 points for the Brit, which actually is a move I don't really like that much. I think it was a bit stronger to go here for the indirect 4 points. Sort of with the idea of, you know, like going here with the crossroads and then taking a curve and then scoring 4 points and also not leaving this 2-point road for your opponent. Pricci, on the other hand, chooses a very interesting approach, trying to fight for big city. Believe it or not, this is something that comes like very natural for newer players. But for somebody like 500 rated and above, this is a move which is not at all that obvious, and it depends on style a lot. So actually I wouldn't do this. With a shield, I'd probably just start a new city elsewhere. And the reason is because after connecting all these cities, it's actually pretty easy to reinvade from one of these many invasion platforms, and it's something that the British player recognizes, because look at this, they're taking just simply 2 points for the road, and they're even okay with leaving the city cap pointing into the city because they know that they can invade later. Pricci is now adding a third meeple next to this city. That's interesting. Now their Lord here is going on the right, creating a bit of pressure. 3 quick points for the Pole, and the player with the green meeple decides to simply add the juicy shielded tile to himself. Now that's a very, very interesting tile for Pricci. Like, what do? Do you go over here and get 1 more meeple into the city and then you just... No, you don't. Instead, he simply calmly takes 4 points, but this move has another pernicious idea behind it. The idea is to get the last cow tile, or any triangle tile for that matter, and add this to green city and make sure that there's only 1 tile that fits into that square. So very high chance of blocking this guy. And for example, now of course Mr. Lord can't really go over here. They need to purely discard that tile, because they can't go over here either. Like, they don't want to be expanding their opponent's city. And look at this, Pricci's setup works like a charm. Only 1 tile that goes over here, so already at least a 50% chance of this meeple going to waste. And even if green draws the tile that goes here, Pricci will be able to reinvade or block that square. Or maybe just grab a couple of straight lines and block that square early on. But other than the scoreboard lead of the pole, it is a pretty equalish position. Well, certainly I would prefer red here any day. Just because red's ruin, and I'm already calling it a ruin because it's really difficult to finish a city like this. Just because red's ruin is bigger than green's. But if green draws the cow tile, oh no, the horse tile early on, then green is doing very well. So a vertical splitter tile for Lord. And probably something simple, just like starting a new city is in order. So there are several things to be said about that. So you definitely want to be starting a new city away from all the action, but in a position where you could get into a long-term meeple minority, you definitely want to avoid creating big fields or fields of any size for that matter, as far as possible. And that's exactly what he does. And then leaving a piece of ruin which is somewhere further away from your opponent's ruin is a good idea, because you're the one who's statistically slightly more likely to benefit from that. And the first monastery goes to red. So very important draw for red, because it also protects this square, which could be a potential square for harassing red city. And now green is forced to give red a point if red wants to complete a road, which red absolutely does. Pointing a road end next to red's monastery makes stacking monasteries a little bit harder. That of course is immediately solved as red gets a road tile, and he should meeple that road with 4 meeples. I know he's thinking about it, but like there's no reason to leave this road empty. Like there's nothing dangerous about it at all, and that's why after some deliberation a meeple is placed. Lord with a city cap tile. Now let's see how efficient they are willing to be with their tiles. The best move by far seems to be not that one, unfortunately, but that one, starting a new city over here and already starting to annoy your opponent's road. Yes, I think that was a bit of a miss, and it was like something that was way too conservative, especially with all 3 giraffe necks still in the deck, and 2 of these sort of splitters. So these are great tiles for continuing cities, not great for starting cities. As you can see, Lord here chooses to not even start a city at all. So pricci chooses not even to start a city at all and just dump this tile. And it's also actually, like, this is an interesting move, because it makes this ruin impossible for LordTerrocloth to grab, because if he does get the horse tile that goes here, then he's going to go here, of course, to continue his city. So from all these empty pieces, only pricci can benefit. Pricci finishes his road to get back onto the scoreboard lead, but now look at the consequences of green's move. So first of all, we're going to see what pricci does with this dagger tile, maybe going over here to annoy green a little bit. Not sure there's a very productive way to do that, but imagine if green had not finished this city. Green would have started the city over here just 2 moves ago with the same tile. Then, after this move over here, green would have used the second tile to finish not this city, but this city. And we would have the same situation. So with the same number of points on the board, but this city would be closed and this city would be open. and you tell me which city is better. So green would have had a city open in a safe position as opposed to a slightly vulnerable position over here. So these things really do add up, and like with something as simple as a straight line and a meeple here, pricci can annoy 2 meeples at the same time. Wise Maze is saying, quite the timid moves, I'd like more fireworks, please. Well, you know, maybe the players are warming up. Maybe we'll see a little bit more later. Yeah, perfect. So look at this. So pricci managed to annoy 2 meeples with 1 move, and this would not have been possible had the city tile been here. Lord with a city cap tile. Will we see an invasion? No, of course not, because we can't expose the square to a block. Like, even though it's only a 50-50 chance, this option actually does a lot for our winning percentage. Yeah, so green decides to be efficient, take advantage from both the road and the city tile, but then again, 2 meeples get obstructed at the same time. And there's really not that much that Lord can do about that. Probably we're going to see a continuation of a road, which exposes even more vulnerability to this meeple, but it's something that we just have to live with. Yeah, so the triple city tile for pricci. By the way, also this move, was this made by red or was this made by green? I start to get the impression that it was made by green, which would be a mistake, because I think green's idea was to kind of start blocking the square, but it's not all that likely. And generally, when you have this configuration of, like, you have a city on the right, on one side, and then your opponent has a meeple attached to another city and a third one like this over here. So basically, a situation where your opponent first of all needs to connect the cities together and then invade kind of through that other meeple. So the situation that we have here. Then most of the time, you are better off not placing anything into that city and just wait. Because let's say if you don't place this tile over here, then pricci can go over here, and then we just bounce on here with a straight line and we block that square. Okay, so I was correct, yes. So this move was here placed by green, yeah, this is a move that reds could have conceivably made. But anyway, the fight continues. Green's developing his road. This city is still somehow alive. And this city is alive. So that was an interesting defense. Actually, this was a really good move. Defending this city cap in such a way that 4 different triangle tiles fit there. And that's important because had he not done that, then pricci would have taken this curve, placed it over here, and make sure that only a dagger can fit there. And because 2 of the daggers are on the board, only 1 dagger would have been available. So this gives pricci more options. Still, this gives LordTerrocloth more options. Still, pricci managed to restrict another meeple. Now only 2 tiles remaining that fit into that square, 2 starting tiles like this. And now Lord is forced to start a new city, and pricci manages to connect the big city over here. And as a result, meeple advantage is going to be a problem, because this city, regardless of whether it's going to be completed or not, is already enough of a threat and enough value that green will need to invest a meeple into fighting for it. Yeah, that's why this move was not necessarily the best, but let's see what we can do. Oh, that's a fantastic tile for green. Green wins the coin flip, and surely green has to go over here. But the problem is that his other meeple is getting blocked, very likely, as pricci draws a tile which is quite painful to see for all our British fans, because not only is it one of the two tiles that would fit into that square, it also happens to be a tile that actually allows a permanent block, but he doesn't go for it, and that's pretty interesting. So he chooses to make a partial block of the other city, and it works, at least temporarily. Lord doesn't bother defending either of the squares. He decides that, you know what, like 50-50 for this is really not big enough of a chance. I'm better off scoring 4 points immediately and just let my opponent spend a tile on blocking this city. But also, if you think about this, yeah, if you have two meeples that are in danger of being blocked, then actually it's okay not to defend, because you're probably losing one of them anyway. And so now, if green were to defend here, then red can just block this one. But now that red blocks this one, green has more time to draw a suitable tile over here and get a meeple back. Yeah, so green does lose a meeple. Green is ahead on the scoreboard, and now a fantastic monastery tile for green controlling red's meeple over here. Red gets a straight line, which is not good enough for block that city, and if green just manages to recover this city, then green is already doing just fine. Oh, what an interesting choice again. So Pricci is trying to block the other city, but Lordy here is getting a tile which gives him a Sophie's choice. Do you go over here and protect the chances of completing the city with a shielded Dorito or just eroded Dorito, or do you just take the points and go over here? And if green sort of stays true to his previous strategy, he'll just prioritize the city and finish it. I think that finishing the city is better because we're really running out of tile that fit here, and we still have chances of protecting the square later. Yeah, and he does indeed go take the points. Green also understands that given these, what, 14 points for the city, I believe, yeah? 16 points for the city. It is actually worth just sacrificing this meeple altogether. So 2 meeples are enough to finish the game with 20 tiles remaining. We could also get this meeple back with one of the 2 remaining crossroads, perhaps. And that's probably going to be enough. We have 1 meeple to invade this ruin and equalize this. And then we have another meeple to, I was going to say score quick points, but instead we see Lord here going on the farm straight away. Yeah, so of course a meeple is lost. Now let's see how greedy the British player is. So a move that comes to mind first is just finish this road, get out of harm's way, preserve the meeple. But a greedy move that you really want to play is to go here, take 3 points, extra points for the monastery, better chances of completing monastery, an additional blocking platform for this. But despite that, I mean, again, greedy move, I can respect that. I would have probably still played over here. And the reason for that is I am significantly ahead as green. So yeah, so I'll tell you why. Like normally, of course, I tend to have a greedy style, but in this position, if you just get a second meeple, like it's very difficult for you to lose the game. But now there is a chance for Lord to lose the game. Well, not now. That's a great block, of course, keeping the meeple here. But it was possible to lose the game if red draws something like this, drops a farmer, another city cap drops a farmer, takes over a 12-point field, finishes the road, and just runs away with the game. It is possible. It is entirely possible. So this move, which expands the field, it also opens the door to those sort of disaster scenarios. And also I noticed something interesting. So red, because green expanded the field, Red was now threatening to finish the city and drop a farmer. And that's why Lord chose not to complete his road, but instead take 2 points and simply deal with the invasion threat. So that all makes sense, but kind of like Green was forced to neutralize the threat that he himself created. Was that worth the extra points? Maybe. But sort of felt that just finishing the road was safer. Now still 1 crossroads remaining. And 1 road monastery. Yeah, maybe we can finish this road later for sure, but in this sort of position, like when you're ahead on the scoreboard, all you want to do is just keep the other features small, and then you win, because your opponent can't catch up. Like, this city is around 12 points, but it's not going to grow that much. Monasteries are equal. Let's say field will be equal. Yeah, then we just like win by a couple of points if we simply get a meeple back. And Red is continuing his city, making it slightly easier to finish the city in the future, but a fantastic tile for Lord here. Takes 4 points for the city cap, and now even gets some chances to block Red's road. Also Green 1 tile away from finishing the monastery, and there are plenty of tiles that allow him just that. But Pricci has now a very strong move now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 2 curves still remaining, and the pole is behind. And I believe the only move that makes sense to me is to go over here and drop a farmer so that he can get a curve, get a meeple back, get 4 points on the scoreboard, and with 1 move introduce 2 farmers to this field. I think it's something that the pole has to go for. And well, anything else, yeah, farmer, let's... Because like if Red doesn't place the farmer, then the Green will place a farmer here. He's thinking about it. But like, what else do you need the meeple for if not stuff like that? The field is 12 points, potentially 15 if you get a meeple back. And also there's still back-to-back options of getting this monastery meeple out. Glovier say, yes, well, actually, in this position, 2 tiles is plenty of tiles. And even though Lord here gets a curve, it's not even guaranteed that he's going to go over here and get his meeple back. So first of all, if he goes here and gets his meeple back, it's actually good for Pricci. Yeah, that's why he doesn't do it. Instead, he wants to block this city. Is that a permanent block? I believe it is. Yes, so no tile will go into this square. So that was an important move to make. But I told you, plenty of tiles plenty of tile combinations to liberate this monastery. And this is exactly what Pricci is trying to do, and 1 curve. But another interesting positional feature is that, let's say if Green were to place a curve here immediately, this would actually eliminate this connection platform over here. And now Green can maybe use to reinvade. Okay, well now it's GG. So Green gets the 2nd curve. Green's going to get a monastery meeple back. This farmer will be stranded with 3 points. This row will be stranded with 3 points. It will be a... game with a significant point difference, but this still doesn't make this move any less essential to make. Had to hope for the 75%er, didn't get it. That's just how Carcassonne is sometimes. Glovier is saying, as Red, I wouldn't even bother blocking the 1-point city. Yeah, over here, I mean, you can't say that like blocking a meeple with 100% certainty is a mistake. But I have to agree that the priority was to go over here. Yeah, because the thing is, like, if you think about it, if Green were to draw a starting tile, the last starting tile that fits into this square, then Green probably wouldn't even go here. Green would sacrifice this meeple just for a chance to finish the city, just because the city's so game decisive. Yeah, so probably as red blocking this was better, and green found a very nice road finish. Red, with his newly recovered meeples, trying to develop his field on the right. If he gets a city cap, which I'm not sure is in the deck, I wasn't counting. Yes, there is. This is a great counting by Pricci. A 10-point move. 4 for the city, 3 for this field, 3 for this field. Suddenly Pricci has 15 points for farmers. So this is going to get closer than one might think. Well, not really, because 21 points on the scoreboard is too much to overcome. Lord here has a city anyway. Sorry, a farm anyway. Pricci is getting some nice ruin points from the new ruin and from the old ruin. They will sum together to about 20. But the 8-point monastery was gonna make the final difference. Under 10 points, I believe, is the final score difference. Ah, no, it should be a bit more than 10 because of this 6-point farm. So let's see what it actually is. Like around 12, maybe. Oh, that was a 6-point field instead for green, for red, not a 6-point ruin. So I guess it's kind of just a question of style. Yeah, so it is indeed another field. And 8 points only after all. Only an 8-point difference. Yeah, so this ruin was quite substantial. So yeah, with the curve, I think this game could have been red's, but a very interesting position here, especially at the start with all those blocked meeples over here. I really liked how green managed to prioritize the big city, well, the medium-sized city, kind of understanding that where the game lies, and this meeple, like saving them really doesn't matter. Whereas Pricci did invest some extra energy on blocking, but didn't manage to block the main one big time. The players are likely to take a couple of minutes break. Well, let's know if they do. But before that, I wanted to address something interesting. So actually, green didn't really have to get into this sort of trouble in the first place. It was really that one move that cascaded. So completing this 4-point city earlier, which sort of looked like a super cautious move. But in Carcassonne, it very often happens that the cautious move is actually the more dangerous one. As a result, because green closed this city, green ended up with this city being open for longer. And remember, this was in a bit of a vulnerable position. Red actually managed to block this only because of this move earlier here by green, recovering his meep a little bit too soon. So I like how in Carcassonne there's just so far-reaching consequences to small things like this. But yeah, and then in the middle of the game, I think green showed excellent prioritization. It takes sometimes, like, it also takes guts to abandon meeples like this, because there were chances to defend, but it's almost like, sometimes your meeples feel like your babies. Like, I wouldn't let anything happen to my babies. Like, you're gonna let my babies be blocked like this with 1 point? Well, no real loving Carcassonne player would make anything bad happen to his baby/meeples. But apparently this is not true. Sometimes you need to be really harsh and make some sacrifices. Alrighty, we will be starting the second game right now, it seems. Some moves have already been made, and alright, how does it go? I think it was LordTerrocloth to go first. He took 4 points. Then pricci took the monastery. Then Lordy took the road. Then pricci dumped the crossroad next to his monastery. So, wait, what is? Why is Red continuing Green's road? So I guess Red doesn't want to expose the city cap that badly. But I think it's just being, I don't know. I mean, Red had 2 points available for him. 2 points were just better. And there is a city cap exposed anyway, so the damage of leaving a city cap open is really not that great. But what pricci has going for him is the second monastery. Okay, let's see. So we saw LordTerrocloth earlier in the chat. And so this means that they're watching this channel. Ah, no, never mind. This was pricci. Because I thought that this was Lord. I thought this was Green. And now I was trying to figure out if they know about the Ukrainian technique. Because the move with the, for Green, with the same tile, if Green were to draw it, was like to go here with a meeple and try to impede those monasteries. But as Red, of course, just adding a point to your monastery is fine. Yeah, so we have some field fights potentially going on as the British player drops a farmer for 6 points, but potentially many more as the field turns into a 9-point field. And it's a good moment to be dropping farmers because as a result of these monasteries, which of course, don't get me wrong, are great for Red, Red is going to be at a temporary meeple disadvantage, and this gives Green the chance to consolidate on the field, and that way maybe balance out those monasteries. So likely we're going to see an imbalance here. So pricci with the monastery cluster, Lord with a slight scoreboard lead, and of course the lead on the farm. This farm is actually, oh, let's go, we have the Ukrainian technique after all. Okay, that's great. So just as the Polish player was going to go over here and maybe even meeple a new city and finish the monastery, Green invests a meeple to make it much more annoying for Red to retrieve his meeple. But now that I think about it, though, that if the main purpose of this move is... okay, interesting. So the main purpose of this move is insurance against city caps and stuff like this, or Doritos. Like if... Let's say if pricci draws a Dorito, then he places over here, then we get another city cap, we get like 8 or 10 points, and Red got his monastery meeple back, but then they had to sacrifice some points in the process because they were helping us out with the city. With a cow, though, that's the one tile that you actually want to be placing over here as Red. So I'm a bit surprised that Red chose not to finish his monastery, because Red would be adding 2 points to Green City, sure, but Red would also be adding points to his 2 points to his monasteries as well. So it's it's a 0 point move, which gives you a meeple back, which is a great deal in Carcassonne normally. And the city still has a first of all a square that you're controlling with your other monastery, plus a platform that can help you invade. Yeah, so Red is now playing quite greedily, trying to attack this road, but with 5 straight lines still in the deck, it looks completely justified. Lord, of course, should probably go over here, start a new city, and try put some pressure on the square nevertheless. That is pretty interesting. I'm not sure if it's like definitely points for creativity, but I'm not sure if it is not overdoing the Ukrainian technique a little bit, because it's really, it's not quite that, because it's controlling, like, it's controlling only one monastery meeple. So then there's a question of who's controlling whom. It's actually, in many scenarios, it is green that might end up having to put a tile here. Okay, so this is very interesting. So pricci successfully connects the road, gets a meeple back, finishes the monastery for 9 points. This road is now shared, and it's not impossible to fight for it. So maybe the Pole is now regretting not placing a meeple on this road. Okay, thank you, Wise Maze, for letting me know about the noise. Sometimes it just happens, and then typically what I do is just turn it on and off again, and then it works. So this is what I did now. Do let me know if the noise has gone. Yeah, like, and it just happens sometimes for no reason. Okay, so this is truly fascinating. So back to this game. Now, green is sort of building the city on the right. Red will now think whether it's worth invading the city or not. But also, like, yeah, red decides to invade the city at the top. And now what green might do, green would hope to draw one of the 3 starting tiles to place over here, and then block 3 of red's meeples, whilst preserving his own meeple. And it is actually not at all that unlikely, because green has 3 blocking tiles, whereas red has only 1 Dorito remaining, and also 3 cow tiles, so 4 good tiles. Well, actually, there's a 5th one. If red gets a splitter, red can go over here and try to take over the city completely. But if green gets the splitter, green can do the same thing. Like, this position has a lot of tension. This is exactly the kind of stuff that we want to watch. Well, I don't know about you. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I want to watch. Pricci with a city cap. Do we just take the quick points and leave a 4-point road up for grabs, or do we just go over here and try and invade this city? I kind of feel like this square could be really, really critical. No, instead the Pole just starts a new city at the bottom by himself, and Lord successfully draws one of the blocking tiles. The patience with the Ukrainian technique pays off. So in his kind of initial... So here's what happened. This kind of move was invented and popularized, well, at least popularized and kind of studied by the Ukrainian player KilluminatiWarrior a Dreer on board Game Arena, and he's really kind of done quite a lot for Carcassonne theory. That's why he's the highest rated Ukrainian Carcassonne player by peak rating, and hence then later the name for Ukrainian technique coined by my viewers. So he listed several possible scenarios, and like a lot of good things could happen. You know, you could like build a ruin and block your monasteries, or you know, your opponent finishes the city for you. And one of the scenarios that kind of he listed in sort of justifying this move is when your opponent tries to connect, and then you block 3 meeples versus 1. Now that said, it won't give any sort of big advantage for Lord, just because Pricci has so many points. 6 on the scoreboard, like 16 on the monasteries, and a couple of extra points on the ruin makes it 21 for Pricci. So Lord, in order to win, will still need to do a bunch of stuff, like maybe get a meeple back from here, and just develop the field a little bit more. Probably eventually going to need to like get a city cap and drop a second farmer just to make sure. That's why Pricci, for example, let's just show, is trying to build at the bottom. Lord, with really an unorthodox move. I'm not sure if it's justified. Instead of taking a 6-point monastery, he takes a significant point sacrifice just to create an attacking platform against Pricci. And sure, so he was controlling that little city cap of Pricci with his monastery, but the main point, well, one of the several main points of controlling your opponent's city with your monastery is the fact that you will get extra points from tiles placed by your opponent. But if you go for a 6-point spot, well, there's no need for you to get those extra points to begin with because you just get more points. Okay, Glovier is saying Red should have taken the city, placing the Dorito next to his monastery. Then they would control the way the city develops. Yes, agreed. So, didn't quite get the chance to comment on all of the moves. Pricci with a monastery. Like, with 3 meeples, surely he can go here. Oh, he wants to go to for the farm. Wait, no, that's a block. Oh, no, is that a block? That's not a block. I mean, it is sort of, kind of, but there is one dagger that fits here. And also, it is complete, like, if you're gonna do stuff like this, why don't you just drop a farmer? Like, to me, it's such an obvious farmer if you're gonna go there. And also, I'm a bit surprised because, like, with a player of Pricci's style who tends to even sometimes prioritize fields a little bit more than the average player, this looks like just a fantastic field spot. First of all, you get an insurance for the off chance that your opponent does get the one dagger that fits here. And second, there's this route of connecting, like super easy. Yeah, so I would have done something different entirely. I would have placed the monastery over here. But if you're not going to meeple the monastery and if you're going to place it over here, well, at least you're going to start to farm. But now we see why he didn't do it. So I think the strategic idea of Pricci was simply to start a counter field. And, okay, so maybe this guy gets 7 more points for this. Eventually he's going to draw like a starting tile or something. There's still 2 of those remaining to get some points here. And he's going to end up with a 12-point field. And Red is saying, okay, you're going to have a 12-point field. I'm going to have a 9-point field with 3 cities. And, you know, with my scoreboard lead and the monasteries, it should be enough to outrun. But the thing is, like, you can still have the same strategic idea, but with an extra meeple over here. Because it's such a safe invasion that you are almost guaranteed to score, well, 9 or even 12 points with that meeple. And even if you end up losing that fight, so let's say if just green goes here, drops a farmer, draws a dagger, reinvades, and green has a 2-1 majority, well, that's still very good for you. Because you forced green to spend an extra meeple in a situation where, for some reason, despite the fact that red's the side with the block meeples, green has the meeple disadvantage. Green doing something very interesting. Developing the monastery and also setting himself up to finish an 8-point city. That actually was a very strong move by the Brit, I believe, with, at the time, 5 Doritos in the deck, now 4 Doritos in the deck, so more than enough to justify this. Lordy gets 3 quick points, so he can't score because he doesn't have a meeple, but at least he gets the farm points, and now he is 1 tile away from finishing his monastery, and Pricci gets the last starting tile. So maybe it's time to actually drop a meeple here. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just better to just go here, start a new city, and then put some pressure over here. But this sort of pressure could backfire. So normally if you go here and here, on one hand, you are making it easier for you to try and block your opponent. On the other hand, if your opponent gets something like a monastery, no, not a monastery, but a Dorito tile, you can go over here and drop a farmer straight away, and you're kind of like making it easier for your opponent to invade the farm. What a great move by Pricci here as Lord tries to build up his city, changes his approach from Doritos to simple city caps. Pricci now uses his meeple majority to meeple a 4-point city, making sure that if Lord gets a Dorito, oh, actually there's no road Dorito, let's say gets something that goes over here. I'm not sure, well, there are not a lot of tiles that go there in the first place. I guess I can think of the splitter like this. Then green would be continuing red city. Yeah, okay, finally green draws a tile to get a meeple back, so now it's a game. Minus 13 for green, but Pricci will now surely do something nasty like this. I mean, Pricci has to take care about this city. Yeah, and this is what happens, but now Lord can shift his strategy. Yeah, he decides to, you know, to simply build up a big ruin. And maybe have some chances of finishing it. Actually, they are still tiles. There are 2 Doritos here, plus a city cap maybe? Well, not anymore. Pricci gets quick points. Lord with the splitter tile. Okay, now he needs to think really hard about this one. Do we try to finish the city, or... Let me think about this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, okay. The dagger has been drawn by red, need to remind you, so I should have addressed that. So there's nothing that goes into the square anymore. I was kind of thinking of getting the divider here and then trying to finish that city, but it's no longer possible. So, is there even any kind of city cap remaining? That's the question. I don't believe there is. There's no city cap. Oh, that's painful. Yeah, so Pricci really needed the 2 Doritos. So I guess the best that Pricci can do... I mean Lord. Let's say if Lord goes here, then he can hope that Pricci miscounts the city caps and tries to block and spends energy that he doesn't have to spend. Maybe, I don't know, he gets a curve and just goes over here for some reason. And then as Lord, we get the other curve and we actually take the 5 points for the road. I don't think it's going to matter because just the scoreboard lead of Pricci is too much. So kind of a similar situation that we have last game, but with colors reversed. Lords with the splitter, and he goes exactly for that, and it is the correct move. I mean, it gives him a 1 city point, if anything. Yeah, so Pricci does add this extra point to Lord, which of course was not necessary, so Lord did benefit a little bit of that, and Lord getting the 5 points for the road. Maybe if green can manage to find some sort of invasion point for this, I believe it still might be possible, although kind of with a naked eye it seems that there are no straight lines remaining and barely any curves remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, no curves remaining, that's the last one. So I even wonder if this invasion is possible at all. Yeah, Pricci simply decided to take the road, and now Lord needs to think. Is there a road tile to invade this field? I don't think there is. Okay, it has to be a quick exercise. So one of the remaining tiles is the Dorito with the road, and the other one is not a city cap, not a curve. Not a crossroads. Not a giraffe's neck. I think it's some sort of big city tile. Yeah, I think it's like a cow or something. Oh, the quadruple city tile. So, Lord assuming correctly that field invasions attempts were futile. And now a 5-point move on a ruin. Well, actually, in his last 2 moves, Green scored 8 points, which is only 1 point fewer from a field invasion, so it didn't end up mattering too much. So let's see what the point difference is. It's going to be a bit closer than one might think, because Green does have more farmers and a monastery and a couple of well-developed ruins, but points for completed features during the game were just too much for Red. Or too much for Green to overcome, I should say. But again, another game in under 10 points, only 7 points extra for Pricci, so certainly some options there for Lord, maybe with slightly different draws. Yeah, very, very interesting. And finally, we'll have our first decider at the end of this evening. So we can see that this Ukrainian technique worked like a charm for Green to balance the game. But maybe this city didn't work so much, because that was just kind of an extra meeple blocked for Green, and even if it weren't blocked, it sort of exposed it just exposed the field a little bit too much. This idea was very, very nice with many Doritos remaining, just happened not to work out with the exact tile run out. And credit to Red, it was a great strategic idea of starting a counter field, realizing that in a situation with a scoreboard lead, variance should be kept to a minimum. And then Red somehow managed with the meeple majority, as it took a very long time for Lord to get this crossroads. Anyway, so congratulations to all my Polish fans, if I have any watching, so do let me know if you're here. And congratulations to all my neutral fans, because this means that we get to see one game more. So game 3 has started. I will update the score in a second. As really creative move for Pricci. Actually, I really like that. Then sort of meepling the road, trying to build a 6-point road, and setting up a city cap next to his monastery. Gets a dagger, but not that kind of dagger. Also, really nice move by a Lord here, sacrificing a point, but disrupting the loop of the 6-point road. It's absolutely worth the point doing stuff like this. So already quite a lot of creativity in the opening. It is indeed Lord who gets to take advantage of Red's setup, and 8-0 lead on the scoreboard for the Brit. As he continues yet another city going far into infinity, or to minus infinity should I say, because that's on the left, and also making Red's road a little bit more vulnerable. Red starting a new city and an attack on Lord's city potentially, but now it's not going to work, as Lord gets 6 more points and extra stuff on the scoreboard. 14-point lead. Well, finally now we're going to see Pricci get on the board. 4 points, but a temporary meeple disadvantage, which could turn into a permanent meeple disadvantage, because this tile is close to devastating for Pricci. Lord, 1 Dorito tile away from just completely destroying 2 meeples. Or, you know, Pricci could draw any city tile that goes here, and then Pricci is going to be fine. A city plus field tile goes here to set up one of the 2 road monasteries. A city plus road tile, such as the barbed wire tile, goes here to set up one of the 8 remaining curves. Now, The reason why losing two meeples would be bad here, other than the obvious reason, is the fact that the position looks kind of really open. So there's this field which has great potential. It could expand even further if a road monastery goes here. Yeah, and we can see that Lord now again kind of tries to combat Red's monasteries by dropping a farmer early. And I think this could work out really well for Green. Yeah, as Green continues, as Red continues his road, Green, of course, is going to go at the top. Something that I think should have been addressed for Red. Now there's an invasion, and so this road is pretty much guaranteed to be shared. Lord with a fantastic tile. Probably going to go over here. Should go over here to all but run away with this game. I mean, it could be tempting for him to go here just to make that field really large, but it doesn't matter. Like, the field is already large enough, and if anything, with 10 points extra on the scoreboard, despite the fact that your opponent has 2 monasteries, you actually don't want to make the field too large. Like, you don't want to make your fields as big as possible. You want to make your fields as big as you can manage them. If you have loads of meeples, sure, make a 30-point field. And maybe that's something that Lord can do here. If you don't have that many meeples, or if you have a big scoreboard lead, like, make a 9 or 12-point field. Because you... Oh, but instead he goes for a monastery over here, taking a point sacrifice. I think unnecessary. Because, like, I guess his idea is to go here and then here, try to block something. But a permanent block is not possible. Only a partial block is possible. And this spot, setting up 9 super quick points with 6 straight lines remaining. At the time, 7 straight lines remaining. 8 curves remaining. It's just so easy to take those points. I think sometimes playing simpler is just best. Pricci now with some chances. They're building up their city on the left. Still plenty of tiles to do that. They have now one strong move which you need to see. The move is to go over here and drop a farmer. It accomplishes 2 things. First of all, it almost guarantees you a field connection. It also pretty much guarantees you that it's not going to be you, it's going to be Lord who's going to bring you in with a curve. So you also win the tempo, right? It is in Green's interest to place a curve over here to tie the road, and then Red's farm will be here automatically. Another thing what this move would do, this would disrupt the loop over here, because Green is incentivized to go over here and drop a farmer. And then not drop a farmer, but meeple the loop road, not only to take the 4 points, but also to invade the city. And what this move would do, it would just make that city invasion a little bit harder. Yeah, what happens now, so Red did choose to drop a farmer. I have to agree with Red. I mean, it was a good move still. It kind of like blocked the city cap a little bit, but now Lord with an excellent find back as he managed to get a farmer himself. And most importantly, it's such a farmer that makes further invasion really difficult. There are no other platforms for invasion. So, not the easiest position for Pricci here. It's a smallish field, it's 12 points, could be up to 18, but given the fact that there's only 1 tile that fits here and only 1 tile that fits here, it is possible for this field to stay at 12 points. And let's say if Pricci draws a monastery quickly enough to place over here, he's going to get 9 extra points on the scoreboard, 2 more monasteries over here. Then maybe Red doesn't even need the field to equalize. But Lord here, aggressively building the city, occupying the city next to the almost shared city on the left. Maybe even threatening to get a Dorito and a triple city tile and eat up the city. Pricci with a Dorito road tile. I'm not sure what to do. He simply chooses to use it as a blocking tile. Not the strongest move if you ask me. But then, what else do you do? Maybe it was better to just get out of harm's way just to complete this connection. And then try to block that guy. Okay, so at least the blocking idea of pricci ends up working out, at least so far. There's still one tile that fits over here, but it's just one tile, and it's a valuable tile. And we can see pricci's idea that maybe he wanted to let... Oh, well, that's a clear mistake by Lord here. Yeah, so maybe that was pricci's idea. Entice the opponent into trying to take away the big city, and then use the fact that the quadruple city has already been used up to block the square completely. Nothing fits over here. So I think honestly we just see the first major blunder of the game. Lord should have gone over here instead to make it much harder, if not too impossible, to block the square. Instead, green went to defend this square, which first of all is not that much for defense because only one vanilla that fits here anyway. And then the purpose of this defense is to make sure that the city can still be completed. But you only want the city to be completed if you can actually take it over in the first place. So this square is of course critical, and only then, first of all, even then, you have 14 points ahead on the scoreboard, you're ahead on the field, you're ahead on the ruin. Like, you don't even need to complete it in order to win. But first, if you take over the ruin, then if you complete it, it's extra. So it's kind of like get your priorities first, and then we can start dreaming. All right, so the game has slowed down a little bit as pricci is so happy after this successful block that he needs to take a breath. Probably just a normal move like starting a new city. Yeah, that makes sense. Exposing a blocking platform, which I wouldn't even bother spending a crossroads on defending. So as pricci, I would have probably just started the city differently. Yeah, and exactly. And Lord doesn't even defend. He just prefers to take points. Pricci with a scoring tile, I have to say. I don't think it's worth spending the tile on blocking. I have to take 3 points first. And let's see what green now draws. Green draws a curve, and he connects the roads, but given how many curves there were, certainly it was an idea to start blocking red city instead. Green just decided to take care of the curve first. Green now building up his city as red managed to successfully pull a monastery and have a really nice pair here developing. Decent chance for them to get completed, but even if they don't, they score. Also, red managed to block green's monastery, so that's nice for them. I'm not sure if red noticed this, but they also open up a potential platform for invasion of this field. But also, in some scenarios, they don't need to invade this field. Sometimes they can just preserve this little guy for 6 points, draw the city capital, go here, block the square, and then keep Lord with 12 points and for 2 meeples, and then themselves enjoy 6 points for 1 meeple. And then just try to win this game in different quadrants of the board, different parts of the board, such as this one over here. Like, if they successfully finish the city, it's already +8 in the meeple bag. That really does a lot. So, Lord, with a city tile, let's see if they do anything to prevent that. Maybe they want to go over here and start a block. Maybe they don't care about that. Maybe they just want to start... maybe just want to expand their city, go for low variance. No, they decide that it is worth it, and he does guess the direction correctly. There was a dagger of each kind, and he drew and obviously pricci drew a dagger, just not the one that pricci needs. Also, with 5 Dorito plus row tiles all used up, pricci sadly cannot defend this city like this. He can't go over here, because normally that would be a nice idea, like setting up a Dorito with a road, but it now doesn't work. So let's see what the poll comes up with. Do we just take 2 quick monastery points, or do we go over here, sort of kind of protecting this city? And maybe we have to protect it, actually. Yeah, we do. You know why? Well, yeah, because there are 2 tiles that can fit there. There are 2 of those. And if we just leave it alone, there's only 1 dagger that left to fit into this square. Or also we might just do nothing. That's doing nothing is always an option. Okay, so whilst he's thinking, I will finally update the score. This has been such a fast-paced match that I have not had even a couple of seconds to secure the visual reminder that this game is tied that the match is tied 1-1 and not 0-0. So red does indeed go there, but also red is inadvertently developing the field of his opponent. But maybe yeah, that's actually really interesting. So look at this. Red is actually going the route that I was taking. He wants to preserve his 6 points, and he's starting to block the square. Maybe a little bit too early. Maybe you should wait before you actually draw those tiles. Green's just developing the city at the top. Also, I'm surprised that green chose not to block these monasteries, because there is no dagger that would have fit over here. So pricci has a chance to actually start another city here. And I really think he should. And also because if he doesn't, then with any curve, he's going to lose 2 monastery meeples. Now, Lord managed to block pricci towards a 50-50. Only 1 dagger that fits into this square. Incidentally, the same dagger that would fit here to connect all the farmers, or here to get Red's monastery meeple back. Red thinking here, -3 on the scoreboard. But surely going over here, it's a really nice threat. Even if you get your second meeple blocked, by going over here, you're just so likely to draw a road tile and liberate your 9-point monastery that doing this is absolutely worth it. Also, there's several types of city caps remaining, so it is not possible to easily block that new city. But let's see if red comes up with some other options. He shouldn't. I don't know, maybe. Meeple the 7-point ruin with 17 tiles remaining. No, don't do it. It's bad. If you have 5 meeples, maybe, but you don't. Come on, pricci, don't be afraid. Oh, you know what I just realized? There's an interesting motif in this situation. The road monastery in this position, the road monastery matters in this game a lot, because it could go over here. Either it could expand the lead of green by 6 points worth of cities, making it just a little bit out of reach for why would you do that? Like, what was wrong with meepling this city? Like, you're about to get blocked. At least you're gonna get only 1 meeple blocked instead of 2. Well, at least pricci didn't meeple the city, so that's something. Okay, but yeah, so just as I was starting to speak about the road monastery, I was going to say that it can be used here either to expand the field, or it could be used by red to invade the field from here and a monastery like this. Not anymore, as Lord chooses to keep the variance to an ultimate minimum, and not even bother expanding the field, realizing that red could strike back. Yeah, because he doesn't even want to go here because that would give both parties a meeple back. Red still refuses to go over here. Although the block was a good move. Should have done that in last move. Because red is clearly going the strategy hoping for this city cap over here. We're actually also hoping for this city cap. And I think red's idea is I get the city cap here to try and get a meeple back. And then I get the regular city cap here. But it's not going to work, because Lord gets the city cap, so this meeple's trapped, and Lord can also go now here and trap those 2 monastery meeples. And pricci is going to need to play with one meeple for the rest of the game. Yeah, and also we noticed that red got to waste 2 points on defense. It's not a bad move, like it's a good defense. But in addition to this meeple blocked, by simply threatening the block of red, green managed to make red incur further damages than just as if losing the meeple was not enough. So what could red hope for? Well, maybe opponent gets nervous and confused and then just suddenly finishes your opponent's feature. By the way, like, it's sort of a bit of a phobia that I have. Oh, like, what if I get distracted and if we like accidentally continue the feature of my opponent, especially if they're playing yellow, because like I often play yellow. Yeah, we can see that the permanent block is in place. There's nothing that fits here, nothing that's fit here. So Lord doing all the recounts, and he's quite likely to bring this game home. Although it is a little bit closer than one might think. I'm going to count the points in a second, but I just wanted to ask y'all, like, have you ever actually had that you accidentally closed the feature for your opponents? Sort of like being distracted or forgetful or stuff like this. Okay, so what are we having? 5 points on the scoreboard for Terry. Maybe they screen name like this because their actual name is Terry. That would make a lot of sense. I'm gonna call them Terry. Although Lord sounds maybe a bit more festive. Alrighty, so pricci creates an attacking platform against Green's Ruin. Green says no thank you to that idea, but at the very least Green draws some quick points. 3 for a road, but 4 for a city in response to Lord. This has some interesting implications though. So in theory, this gives pricci a chance to fight for the field and go like this. And then maybe instead of trying to secure this little modest 1 point farmer, he might want to draw the city cap and place it over here, and then draw something else and place it like this. I don't think it works. I think what we can do as red is just sort of keep this platform open as it is, and then we can simply wait. Like if the disaster scenario happens, if green does draw the city cap that goes here and scores the points and eats up our poor farmer and gets the 2 versus 1 majority on a 15-point field, then we can go over here and equalize the field. Yeah, and that's exactly why pricci just meeples a 6-point farm and spends his last meeple, and maybe he's hoping, for 5, maybe he's hoping to get a crossroads soon to liberate a meeple for both parties. And in general, pricci realized that there's just not many quick point scoring tiles. Well, sure, there's the city cap, but the city cap's not going to go over here, right? If you draw it as red, like you don't want to lose points or anything. Alrighty, so how we're doing for points? +6 for Lord, neutralized over here. Cities 1 versus 3, so 2 for pricci. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 4 extra for Lord, so that puts Lord at +2. Monasteries equal 8 extra, so +6 for pricci, and 12-point field versus a 6-point field. So this is complete equality in the position, except that Lord has a meeple, and he will use this meeple to score points. If anything, what green should probably do is just go here and score the 5 points enjoy the 5-point lead, and then you know that you can probably not lose that game. Yeah, this is exactly what happens. Great recognition. Because the only way how pricci can get a meeple back is by also giving back a meeple to Lord. Yeah, so all Lord has to do is just like not go here. I think pricci went here simply with the idea of drawing a curve and expanding his field, but then he'll be gaining 3 extra points, and that is not enough. Okay, so pricci successfully draws a city cap, which he will place probably over here, but Lord got 1 more point, so Lord is ahead +6 at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Pricci, still with the same city cap. The only way he can lose the game... Oh no. Oh yeah, he can't. Wait. It's red, right? He can't win the game. I mean, so I guess he can go here, hope for another city cap, which I don't even think there is. Yeah, there isn't even another city cap. Oh no, there is. There's a splitter. So he can go here, hope for a splitter. Wait, he can actually get 6 points. If he goes here... no, instead he just chooses to get 1 point over here. But I was thinking if he can go here and he gets a splitter and he gets a curve, he gets this city and this potential city in his field, so that could give him up to 6 more points. Well, 6 more to be exact. And there was 1 curve remaining indeed. So yeah, maybe a little miss. Well, the thing is, it wouldn't really work. Okay, he would get his 6 points, but in case of a tie, Lord wins because pricci started the game, and just Lord gets a point anyway. Yeah, so pricci does finally get a curve. Surely he'll... so that, of course, nicely spotted. And Lord had a city tile anyway that could give him 1 extra point. So I think 4 points is the difference at the moment. And pricci can't do anything with this straight line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... Oh, no, there is no curve. Yeah, no. I mean, there was a curve. Yeah, obviously. He just drew the curve right now. What am I counting? Not quite sure what the last tile is. All I know that it is not a city cap. I can tell you that much. Oh, that was the very last tile. Yeah, so pricci just dumped a curve. And it is LordTerrocloth of Durham, England, who will make it to the second knockout round of Q12. Let's get that point difference confirmed. I might be off by a point or so. Yeah, 3 points is the difference. Yeah, and what a tight game. Like, generally this strategy of just very, very small ball approach of keeping the small farm over here and blocking his opponents. That worked really, really nicely. But I've noticed also something interesting. Lord actually found pretty much his only winning move with his monastery, because other than the monastery, there are basically no scoring tiles available. So he had to go here to secure the win. Had he not gone here and placed the meeple, then it was possible for pricci to get city cap splitter, get 3 more points, and then Lord would not be able to catch up. Yeah, great match indeed. Especially the third one. So first of all, quick points for Lord, then monasteries for pricci, then farm control for Lord, then city takeover at 10 for road, then block by pricci, and then both players just blocking each other, and then finally all is decided by a wise placement on the final monastery. Always gotta love it when the monastery is the winning tile. Alrighty. Let us update the score. And congratulate LordTerrocloth and all the other British fans in the audience. Also, yeah, I was mentioning that it's sort of nice to have some new players, but from in the UK, but from like a particularly British standpoint. Most of you are not aware, but in the United Kingdom, there's sort of like this big cultural issue of North-South divide, in the sense that most people who sort of like become famous, they're from one particular part of the country, maybe like the South and London and around there. So we're going to have at least representation from all across the UK, or at least going closer to that. Finishing, well, not finishing, just starting their first year at the Champions League with style. So let's have a look at what well, in 30 minutes we have Rodas versus Alchemist, but honestly I don't think I'm streaming the other matches. Like, the stream is pretty long, and I want to keep, like, I want to stream a lot, but also I want to maybe put a maximum of 1 per day. So we will leave Zekrid and Rodas to sort out their differences by themselves. Unless, you know, maybe anybody else wants to stream. You should also need to check, like, Spain has an active community. Maybe somebody is streaming Locuelo's match in Spanish. Then tomorrow, of course, I'm not streaming my own game. I will think about streaming something else. So before wrapping up, let's just have a look at the qualifiers and add the standings after this game. Q1-2. So yeah, LordTerrocloth is going to be playing against Miami. Not the easiest opponent. I mean, yesterday we saw that they're really sharp, especially in the board vision when it comes to fields. Yeah, today we didn't really see any big field fights. Well, I mean, not today we saw, but I mean in the... of course, we saw a huge field fight, just a fantastic field fight in Krisna's game. But I mean, in the last match, sort of everything was kept small ball. I don't think that's going to be the case against Miami. And pricci will be playing against the much higher rated Daniel Ayala. So not going to be easy for them. Alrighty, then that's going to be pretty much it. Congratulations to all the winners today. And make sure to meeple the like button if you like anything about this stream and competitive Carcassonne in general. Subscribe if you want to watch this type of content more than once. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.